What is going on, everybody? How we doing today? I was gonna do a bit of a, I suppose you could say, I was gonna do a bit of a. Hold on one sec. I was gonna do. What the hell's going on here with this? I was gonna do a little bit of an opener, I guess you could say, but it seems like the debate has started already. So I'm just gonna shut up and we're just gonna see what's going on right now. One moment, please.
Part of the backbone of America's economy. My opponent, on the other hand, his plan is to do what he has done before, which is to provide a tax cut for billionaires and big corporations, which will result in $5 trillion to America's deficit. My opponent has a plan that I call the Trump's sales tax, which would be a 20% tax on everyday goods that you rely on to get through the month. Economists have said that that Trump sales tax would actually result for middle-class families in about $4,000 more a year because of his policies and his ideas about what should be the backs of middle-class people paying for tax cuts for billionaires.
President Trump, I'll give you 2 minutes.
First of all, I have no sales tax. That's an incorrect statement. She knows that. We're doing tariffs on other countries. Other countries are going to finally, after 75 years, pay us back for all that we've done for the world. And the tariff will be substantial in some cases. I took in billions and billions of dollars, as you know, from China. In fact, they never took the tariff off because it was so much money they can't. It would totally destroy everything that they've set out to do. They're taking in billions of dollars from China and other places. They've left the tariffs on. When I had it, I had tariffs, and yet I had no inflation. Look, we've had a terrible economy because inflation has, which is really known as a country buster. It breaks up countries. We have inflation like very few people have ever seen before. Probably the worst in our nation's history. We were at 21%, but that's being generous because many things are 50, 60, 70, and 80% higher than they were just a few years ago. This has been a disaster for people, for the middle class, but for every class. On top of that, we have millions of people pouring into our country from prisons and jails, from mental institutions and insane asylums, and they're coming in and they're taking jobs that are occupied right now by African Americans and Hispanics. And also unions. Unions are going to be affected very soon. And you see what's happening. You see what's happening with towns throughout the United States. You look at Springfield, Ohio. You look at Aurora in Colorado. They are taking over the towns. They're taking over buildings. They're going in violently. These are the people that Xi and Biden led into our country. And they're destroying our country. They're dangerous. They're at the highest level of criminality. And we have to get them out. We have to get them out fast. I created one of the greatest economies in the history of our country. I'll do it again and even better.
We are going to get to immigration and border security during this debate, but I would like to let Vice President Harris respond on the economy here.
Well, I would love to. Let's talk about what Donald Trump left us. Donald Trump left us the worst unemployment since the Great Depression. Donald Trump left us the worst public health epidemic in a century. Donald Trump left us the worst attack on our democracy since the Civil War. And what we have done is clean up Donald Trump's mess. What we have done and what I intend to do is build on what we know are the aspirations and the hopes of the American people. But I'm going to tell you all in this debate tonight, you're going to hear from the same old tired playbook. A bunch of lies, grievances, and name-calling. What you're going to hear tonight is a detailed and dangerous plan called Project 2025 that the former president intends on implementing if he were elected again.
See, she was told to say that shit.
That the American people want a president who understands the importance of bringing us together, knowing we have so much more in common than what separates us. And I pledge to you to be a president for all Americans.
President Trump will give you a minute here to respond.
Number one, I have nothing to do, as you know, and as she knows better than anyone, I have nothing to do with Project 2025. That's out there. I haven't read it. I don't want to read it purposely. I'm not going to read it. This was a group of people that got together. They came up with some ideas, I guess some good, some bad, but it makes no difference. I have nothing to do. Everybody knows I'm an open book. Everybody knows what I'm going to do. Cut taxes very substantially and create a great economy like I did before. We had the greatest economy. We got hit with a pandemic. And the pandemic was not since 1917, where 100 million people died, has there been anything like it. We did a phenomenal job with the pandemic. We handed them over a country where the economy and where the stock market was higher than it was before the pandemic came in. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. We made ventilators for the entire world. We got gowns, we got masks, we did things that nobody thought possible. And people give me credit for rebuilding the military. They give me credit for a lot of things, but not enough credit for the great job we did with the pandemic. But the only jobs they got were bounce-back jobs. These were jobs bounced back, and it bounced back, and it went to their benefit. But I was the one that created them. They know it, and so does everybody else.
Vice President Harris, I'll let you respond.
So Donald Trump has no plan for you. And when you look at his economic plan, it's all about tax breaks for the richest people. I am offering describe as an
the best
opportunity
economy in my adult
and
life
the best
has been under
economists
Trump.
in our country, if not the
And this
world,
fucking idiot.
have reviewed our relative plans for the future of America. What Goldman Sachs has said is that Donald Trump's plan would make the economy worse. Mine would strengthen the economy. What the Wharton School has said is
The
Donald
billionaires
Trump's
are on
plan
my side. Vote for
would
me.
actually explode
Vote for
the
me. The
deficit.
billionaires vote.
16
The
Nobel
billionaires want
laureates
me.
have
Vote for me.
described
Kamala
his
Harris.
economic plan as something that
What a
would
fucking idiot.
increase inflation
What
and
a
by
fucking
the middle
idiot.
of next year would invite a recession. You
Take a
just
long
have to
walk off a
look
short
at
pier,
where
bitch.
we are and where we stand on the issues. And I'd invite you to know that
I
Donald
didn't invite
Trump
you to know.
actually
I'd
has
invite you
no
to take a
plan
long
for
walk
you
off a short
because he is
pier,
more
you fucking
interested in
idiot.
defending himself than he is in looking out for you.
I went to the Wharton School of Finance. And
He called that
many of
shit
those
out.
Professors, the top
He called
professors,
that shit out.
I think my plan is a
That's-
brilliant plan. It's a great plan. It's a plan that's going to bring up our worth, our value as a country. It's going to
I'm sorry. I'm muting it for a second. I mentioned earlier that Kamala was told to say something, right? She was told to say a couple of different things specifically to try and get the soundbite, as well as to try and corner Trump. She was told these things by her strategists. It's not actually her, you know? And that is important. That is important.
She doesn't have a plan.
Mr. President, I do want to drill down on something you both brought up. The Vice President brought up your tariffs. You responded, and let's drill down on this, because your plan is what she calls is essentially a national sales tax. Your proposal calls for tariffs, as you pointed out here, on foreign imports across the board. You recently said that you might double your plan, imposing tariffs up to 20% on goods coming into this country. As you know, many economists say that with tariffs at that level, costs are then passed on to the consumer. Vice President Harris has argued it'll mean higher prices
Costs
on
are
gas,
always passed on to the
food, clothing,
consumer.
medication.
That's the
arguing
way
it costs a
taxes
typical
work
family
every
nearly
time.
$4,000 a year. Do you believe Americans can afford higher prices because of tariffs?
They're not going to have higher prices. What's going to have, and who's going to have higher prices is China and all of the countries that have been ripping us off for years. I
Dude,
was the
when
only
Trump was-
president ever. China was paying us hundreds of
I almost can just mute when Trump is talking because we all know what he's saying is like true, and we were all there 4 years ago. But like, I spent less than $20 a day on food, right? Eating like a king in 2017, 2018. It was fucking beautiful, dude. It was fantastic. I loved it, dude. I could spend $10, and it was just nice. It was just nice.
The people of our country are absolutely dying with what they've done. They've destroyed the economy. And all you have to do is look at a poll. The polls say 80 and 85 and even 90% that the Trump economy was great, that their economy was terrible.
Vice President Harris, I do want to ask for your response, and you heard what the President said there, because the Biden administration did keep a number of the Trump tariffs in place. So how do you respond?
Well, let's be clear that the Trump administration resulted in a trade deficit, one of the highest we've ever seen in the history of America.
That was a strange little slur.
He invited
Let me
trade
be
wars.
clear.
You want to talk about his deal with China? What he ended up doing is, under Donald Trump's presidency, he ended up selling American chips to China to help them improve and modernize their military, basically sold us out, when a policy about China should be in making sure the United States of America wins the competition for the 21st century. which means focusing on the details of what that requires, focusing on relationships with our allies.
These people
focusing on investing
hate
in
America.
American-based
They have said it in no
technology so that
uncertain
we win
terms,
the
and
race
they're trying to
on
talk
AI
about,
and
oh,
quantum
America
computing.
wins
Focusing
the
on
battle for
what
the
we need to
21st
do
century. It's
to
like you
support
don't want us
America's
to win.
workforce
You have said it
so that
multiple
we don't
times
end
in
up
multiple
having
ways.
on the short end of the stick in terms of workers' rights. But what Donald Trump did, let's talk about this, with COVID, is he actually thanked President Xi for what he did during COVID. Look at his tweet. Thank you, President Xi, exclamation point, when we know that Xi was responsible
Exclamation
for
point.
lacking and not giving us transparency about the origins
How long until she tries to pretend to be a
First of
sassy
all,
black
they
lady?
bought the chips from Taiwan. We hardly make chips anymore
Exclamation
because of,
point.
philosophies like they have and policies like they have. I don't say her because she has no policy. Everything that she believed 3 years ago and 4 years ago is out the window. She's going to my philosophy now. In fact, I was going to send her a MAGA hat. She's gone to my philosophy. But if she ever got elected, she'd change it. And it will be the end of our country.
She
She's
thinks
a Marxist.
she
Everybody
thinks
knows she's a Marxist. Her father's a Marxist professor in economics, and he taught her well. But when you look at what she's done to our country, and when you look at these millions and millions of people that are pouring into our country monthly, where it's, I believe, 21 million people, not the 15 that people say, and I think it's a lot higher than the 21. That's bigger than New York State pouring in. And just look at what they're doing to our country. They're criminals. Many of these people coming in are criminals. And that's bad for our economy, too. You know, you mentioned before, we'll talk about immigration later. Well, bad immigration is the worst thing that can happen to our economy. They have, and she has, destroyed our country with policy that's insane. Almost policy that you'd say they have to hate our country.
President Trump, thank you. Lindsay?
I want to turn to the issue of abortion. President Trump, you often touted that you were able to kill Roe v. Wade. Last year, you said that you were proud to be the most pro-life president in American history. Then last month, you said that your administration would be great for women and their reproductive rights. In your home state of Florida, you surprised many with regard to your 6-week abortion ban because you initially had said that it was too short. And you said, quote, I'm going to be voting that we need more than 6 weeks. But then the very next day, you reversed course and said you would vote to support the 6-week ban. Vice President Harris says that women shouldn't
are they
trust
trying to
you
make
on
me
the
hate her?
issue of abortion because you've changed your position.
Are they trying to make me hate him right now?
Why should they trust you?
Well, the reason I'm doing that vote is because the plan is, as you know, the vote is, they have abortion in the 9th month. They even have, and you can look at the governor of West Virginia, the previous governor of West Virginia, not the current governor, who's doing an excellent job, but the governor before. He said
I gotta
the
dip
baby will
out
be
for a
born,
second. I'll be right
and
back.
we will decide what to do with the baby. In other words, we'll execute the baby. And that's why I did that, because that predominates, because they're radical. The Democrats are radical in that. And her vice presidential pick, which I think was a horrible pick, by the way, for our country, because he is really out of it. But her vice presidential pick says abortion in the 9th month is absolutely fine. He also says execution after birth. It's execution, no longer abortion, because the baby is born, is okay. And that's not okay with me, hence the vote. But what I did is something for 52 years they've been trying to get Roe v. Wade into the states. And through the genius and heart and strength of 6 Supreme Court justices,
Need some cheese for my
we were
steak.
able to do that. Now, I believe in the exceptions for rape, incest, and life of the mother. I believe strongly in it. Ronald Reagan did also. 85% of Republicans do. Exceptions. Very important. But we were able to get it, and now states are voting on it. And for the first time,
You can almost feel
you're
she
gonna
wants
see-
to
look,
cackle.
This is an issue that's torn our country apart for 52 years. Every legal scholar, every Democrat, every Republican, liberal, conservative, they all wanted this issue to be brought back to the states where the people could vote. And that's what happened. Now, Ohio, the vote was
No,
somewhat
I'm
liberal.
frying something,
Kansas,
Sam.
The vote was somewhat liberal.
I'm making a steak, bro.
But each individual individual state is voting. It's the vote of the people now. It's not tied up in the federal government. I did a great service in doing it. It took courage to do it.
That was a good
And
one.
The Supreme Court had great courage in doing it. And I give tremendous credit to those 6 justices.
There is no state in this country where it is legal to kill a baby after it's born. Madam Vice President, I want to get your response to President Trump.
Well, as I said, you're going to hear a bunch of lies, and that's not actually a surprising fact. Let's understand how we got here. Donald Trump hand-selected 3 members of the United States Supreme Court with the intention that they would undo the protections of Roe v. Wade. And they did exactly as he intended. And now in over 20...
That's just false. I remember when New York legalized killing babies after they were born. Everybody remembers that. Same thing with Virginia. And this stupid bitch that they picked as a diversity hire is trying to fucking be like, actually, no, that's not legal. It's not a baby if it's an abortion. It's just a clump of cells, even after it's been born.
...to their body does not have the right to make a decision about what happens to their body next. That is immoral. And one does not have to abandon their faith or deeply held beliefs to agree. The government, and Donald Trump certainly, should not be telling a woman what to do with her body. I have talked with women around our country.
If you're a Christian and
wanna
you
talk
support
about this is
abortion,
what
you're
people
supporting
wanted?
sin.
Pregnant women who want to carry a pregnancy to term, suffering from a miscarriage, being denied care in an emergency room because the healthcare providers are afraid they might go to jail, and she's bleeding out in a car in the parking lot. She didn't want that. Her husband didn't want that.
That's never happened.
12 or
That has
13-year-olds
not
who
ever
offer
happened
of
ever
incest,
in history.
being forced to carry a pregnancy to term, they don't want that. And I pledge to you,
How many
when
abortions are
Congress
actually
passes a
that?
bill to put back in place the protections of Roe v. Wade,
Not many.
as President of the United States, I will
fact-
proudly
in fact,
sign
I'd say
it
almost none.
into law. But understand, if Donald Trump were to be reelected, he will sign a national abortion ban. Understand, in his Project 2025, there would be a national abortion, a monitor that would be monitoring your pregnancies, your miscarriages.
A
I think
monitor?
the American people
What, like a fucking
believe
ankle monitor, you
that
stupid
certain
bitch?
freedoms, in
You
particular the
stupid
freedom to
fucking
make
cunt.
Decisions about one's own body should not be made by the government.
Thank you, Vice President Harris.
Well, there she goes again. It's a lie. I'm not signing a ban, and there's no reason to sign a ban, because we've gotten what everybody wanted. Democrats, Republicans, and everybody else, and every legal scholar wanted it to be brought back into the states, and the states are voting. And it may take a little time, but for 52 years, this issue has torn our country apart, and they've wanted it back in the states. And I did something that nobody thought was possible. The states are now voting. What she says is an absolute lie. And as far as the abortion ban, no, I'm not in favor of abortion ban, but it doesn't matter, because this issue has now been taken over by the states.
Would you veto a national abortion ban if it came
Well, I
to your
won't
desk?
have to, because again, two things. Number one, she said she'll go back to Congress. She'll never get the vote. It's impossible for her to get the vote, especially now with the 50-50, and essentially 50-50 in both Senate and the House. She's not going to get the vote. She can't get the vote. She won't even come close to it. So it's just talk. You know what it reminds me of? When they said they're going to get student loans terminated, and it ended up being a total catastrophe. The student loans, and then her, I think probably her boss, if you call him a boss, he spends all his time on the beach. But look, her boss went out and said, we'll do it again. We'll do it a different way. And he went out, got rejected again by the Supreme Court. So all these students got taunted with this whole thing about this whole idea. And how unfair that would have been, part of the reason they lost, to the millions and millions of people that had to pay off their student loans. They didn't get it for free. But they were saying it's the same way that they talked about that they talk about abortion.
But if I could just get a yes or no, because your running mate, J.D. Vance, has said that you would veto it if it did come to your desk.
Well, I didn't discuss it with J.D. In all fairness, J.D.
You see, this chick right here was put there specifically to be the proud black lady who is gonna fucking give Trump like a hard time. That's exactly what this is, and that's why she's given that. I don't know who this chick is, but I guarantee you her career is gonna be made in terms of like left-wing media and shit like that, just because of what she's doing right now.
They can never get this approved. So it doesn't matter what she says about going to Congress. Well, wonderful. Let's go to Congress. Do it. But the fact is that for years they wanted to get it out of Congress and out of the federal government, and we did something that everybody said couldn't be done. And now you have a vote of the people on abortion.
Vice President Harris, I want to give you your time to respond, but I do want to ask, would you support any restrictions on a woman's right to an abortion?
I absolutely support reinstating the protections of Roe v. Wade, and as you rightly mentioned, nowhere in America
Exactly,
is a
Lord
woman
Raiden.
carrying a pregnancy
Two
to
Nubian
term
queens versus
and
Trump.
asking for an abortion. That is not happening.
That's what
and
this
it's
is supposed to be
insulting
right now.
To the women of America. And understand what has been happening under Donald Trump's abortion bans. Couples who pray and dream of having a family are being denied.
I wish a
IVF
proud black
treatments.
lady would give me a
What
hard
is
time, to
happening
be
in our
honest.
country?
Don't we all,
Working
pal?
people,
Don't we
working
all?
women who are working 1 or 2 jobs, who can barely afford childcare as it is, have to travel to another state to get on a plane sitting next to strangers to go and get the health care she needs. Barely
To go
can
and get
afford
the
to
baby
do it,
murder
and what
she
you are putting
needs.
her through is unconscionable. And the people of America have not, the majority of Americans believe in a woman's right to make decisions about her own body, and that is why in every state where this issue has been on the ballot, in red and blue states both, the people of America have voted for freedom.
Vice President Harris,
Excuse me, I
thank
have to
you.
respond. Another lie. It's another lie. I have been a leader on IVF, which is fertilization. The IVF, I have been a leader. In fact, when they got a very negative decision on IVF from the Alabama courts, I saw the people of Alabama and the legislature 2 days later voted it in. I've been a leader on it. They know that, and everybody else knows it. I have been a leader on fertilization, IVF. And the other thing, you should ask, will she allow abortion in the 8th month, 9th month, 7th month?
Come on.
Okay, would you do that? Why don't you ask her that
Why
question?
don't you
That's
answer
the
the
problem.
question? Would you
Because
veto
under
it?
Roe v.
Answer
Wade,
the question.
you
Would you
could,
veto
you
it?
could do abortions in the 7th month, the 8th month, the 9th month,
not true.
and probably after birth. Just look at the former governor of Virginia. The governor of Virginia said, we put the baby aside and then we determine what we want to do with the baby.
President Trump, thank you.
We're going to turn now to immigration and border security. We know
That
it's an
was-
issue that's
that was a
important to
very good one
Republicans,
right there.
Democrats, voters across the board in this country.
Like,
Vice President
Kamala.
Harris, you were tasked by President Biden with getting to the root causes of migration from Central America. We know that illegal border crossings reached a record high in the Biden administration. This past June, President Biden imposed tough new asylum restrictions. We know the numbers since then have dropped significantly. But my question to you tonight is, why did the administration wait until
You
6
see?
months before the election to act? And would you have done anything differently from President Biden on this?
So I'm the only person on this stage who has prosecuted transnational criminal organizations for the trafficking of guns, drugs, and human beings. And let me say that the United States Congress, including some of the most conservative members of the United States Senate, came up with a border security bill which I supported. And that bill would have put 1,500 more border agents on the border to help those folks who are working there right now overtime trying to do their job. It would have allowed us to stem the flow of fentanyl coming into the United States. I know there are so many families watching tonight who have been personally affected by the surge of fentanyl in our country. That bill would have put more resources to allow us to prosecute transnational criminal organizations for trafficking in guns, drugs, and human beings. But you know what happened to that bill? Donald Trump got on the phone, called up some folks in Congress, and
Yeah, no, he didn't. and even if he did, fucking, there was some bullshit that was tacked onto it. I guarantee you. And then in addition to that, fucking, notice how she hold on, right? Just so you guys can hear, she's not actually saying anything. Fucking, you notice how she hasn't said anything about taking criminals who are illegal border crossers, like people who kill people and send them back. You know, people who cross the border illegally and then commit crimes, they don't get sent back. It's just no, it's fine. Just we'll put some more people on the border. Fuck the people. Screw it about the people who are in here though.
about windmills cause cancer. And what you will also notice is that people start leaving his rallies early. out of exhaustion and boredom. And I will tell you, the one thing you will not hear him talk about is you. You will not hear him talk about your needs, your dreams, and your desires. And I'll tell you, I believe you deserve a president who actually puts you first, and I pledge to you that I will.
Vice President Harris, thank you. President Trump, on that point, I want to get your response.
Well, I would like to respond.
Let me just ask, though, why did you try to kill that bill, and successfully so? That would have put thousands of additional agents and officers on the border.
First, let me respond as to the
Please.
rallies. She said people start leaving. People don't go to her rallies. There's no reason to go. And the people that do go, she's bussing them in and paying them to be there, and then showing them in a different light. So she can't talk about that. People don't leave my rallies. We have the biggest rallies, the most incredible rallies in the history of politics. That's because people want to take their country back. Our country is being lost. We're a failing nation. And it happened 3.5 years ago. And what's going on here, you're going to end up in World War III, just to go into another subject. What they have done to our country by allowing these millions and millions of people to come into our country, and look at what's happening to the towns all over the United States. And a lot of towns don't want to talk. It's not going to be Aurora or Springfield. A lot of towns don't want to talk about it because they're so embarrassed by it. In Springfield, they're eating the dogs, the people that came in. They're eating the cats. They're eating the pets of the people that live there. And this is
They're
what's
eating the
happening
dogs
in
and
our
cats.
country.
Ah,
And it's a
that's
shame.
funny.
As far as
What a
rallies
fucking
are
idiot.
concerned, as far as the reason they go is they like what I say. They want to bring our country back. They want to make America great again. It's a very simple phrase.
She
Make
doesn't
America
realize when
great
she
again.
cackles, it's just
She's
going to be
destroying
taken
this
as her
country.
being like,
And if she
haha,
becomes
dead
president,
cats.
this country doesn't have a chance of success. Not only success, we'll end up being Venezuela on steroids.
I just want to clarify here. You bring up Springfield, Ohio, and ABC News did reach out to the city manager there. He told us there have been no credible reports of specific claims of pets being harmed, injured, or abused by individuals within the immigrant community.
Well,
All
I've
this,
seen people on television.
let me just say here, this is
The people on television say my dog was taken and used for food. So maybe he said that, and maybe that's a good
Yeah.
thing to say for a city manager.
I'm not taking this from
But the
television.
people
I'm
on
taking it from
television
the city
saying their
manager.
dog was eaten by the people that went there.
Oh. A regular person is not credible, of
Vice
course.
President
Find
Harris,
out.
I'll let you respond to the rest of what you've heard.
You talk about extreme.
Oh, there it is, the
I
first
think
cackle.
This is, I think, one of the reasons why in this election I actually have the endorsement of 200 Republicans who have formerly worked with President Bush, Mitt Romney, and John McCain, including the endorsement of former Vice President
Yeah.
Dick Cheney and Congress member Liz Cheney. And if you want to really
Stick
know
your head in an oven, bitch.
the inside track on who the former president is, if he didn't make it clear already, just
That's
ask
what I
people
want.
who have worked with him.
That's what I
His
want in
former
office
chief
is
of
Dick
staff, a
Cheney's best
four-star
pal.
general, has said he has contempt for the Constitution of the United States. His former national security advisor has said he is dangerous and unfit. His former Secretary of Defense has said the nation, the republic, would never survive another Trump term. And when we listen to this kind of rhetoric, when the issues that affect the American people are not being addressed, I think the choice is clear in this election.
President Trump, I'll give you a quick minute to respond
Yeah.
here.
Thank you, because when I hear that, see, I'm a different kind of a person. I fired most of those people. Not so graciously. They did bad things or a bad job. I fired them. They never fired one person. They didn't fire anybody having to do with Afghanistan and the Taliban and the 13 people whose were just killed, viciously and violently killed. And I got to know the parents and the family. They didn't fire. They should have fired all those generals, all those top people, because that was one of the most incompetently handled situations anybody has ever seen. So when
Can I
somebody
just send
does
in
a
my
bad
Kamala
job,
vote on
I
Pornhub?
fire him.
Oh,
And
yeah.
You take a guy like Esper. He was no good. I fired him. So he writes a book. Another one writes a book. Because with me, they can write books. With nobody else, can they? But they have done such a poor job, and they never fire anybody. Look at the economy. Look at the inflation. They didn't fire any of their economists. They have the same people. That's a good way not to have books written about you. But just to finish, I got more votes than any Republican in history by far. In fact, I got more votes than any president, sitting president, in history by far.
See,
Let me continue on immigration. It was what you wanted to
That's
talk about
not-
earlier, so let's get back to your deportation.
I know what he was trying to say. We know what he was trying to say.
Vice President
Tactically,
has
I don't know if
to
that was the best way to go about it.
President Trump,
You know,
you
just
called this
going
the
on about
largest domestic
firing people. He
deportation
should have
operation in the history of
specified
the
a little bit
country. You say you
more,
would use the
I feel
National
like.
Guard. You say if things get out of control, you'd have no problem using the
With
U.S.
local
military.
police, yes.
You also said you would use local police. How would you deport 11 million undocumented immigrants? I know you believe that number is much higher. Take us through this. What does this look like? Will authorities be going door to door in this country?
Yeah. It is much higher because of them. They allowed criminals, many millions of criminals. They allowed terrorists. They allowed common street criminals. They allowed people to come in, drug dealers, to come into our country, and they're now in the United States and told by their countries like Venezuela, don't ever come back or we're going to kill you. Do you know that crime in Venezuela and crime in countries all over the world is way down? You know why? Because they've taken their criminals off the street and they've given them to her to put into our country. And this will be one of the greatest mistakes in history for them to allow, and I think they probably did it because they think they're going to get votes, but it's not worth it because they're destroying the fabric of our country by what they've done. There's never been anything done like this at all. They've destroyed the fabric of our country. Millions of people let in, and all over the world, crime is down all over the world except here. Crime here is up and through the roof, despite their fraudulent statements that they
And
make.
in England.
Crime in this country is through the roof. And we have a new form of crime. It's called migrant crime. And it's happening at levels that nobody thought possible.
President Trump, as you know, the FBI says overall violent crime is actually coming down in this country. But Vice
Excuse me,
President
the
Harris, I'll
FBI
give you
they were defrauding statements. They didn't include the worst cities. They didn't include the cities with the worst crime. It was a fraud. Just like their number of 818,000 jobs that they said they created turned out to be a fraud.
President Trump, thank you. I'll let you respond, Vice President Harris.
Well, I think this is so rich, coming from someone who has been prosecuted for national security crimes, economic crimes, election interference, has been found liable for sexual assault, and his next big court appearance is in November at his own criminal sentencing. And let's be
I think
clear,
I think it's
we're
rich
person
that this
saying
guy
on
that
the
we're
issue of
persecuting
what is important
is
about
angry
respect for the rule of
that
law
there's people
and respect
dying
for
in
law
our
enforcement.
country
The former vice
'cause of
president
me.
called for defunding federal law enforcement, 45,000 agents, get this, on the day after he was arraigned on 34 felony counts. So let's talk about what is important in this race. It is important that we move forward, that we turn the page on this same old tired rhetoric and address the needs of the American people, address what we need to do about
See
the
again, this
housing
is
shortage,
this
which
is
I have
this is a
planned for,
strategist telling
address
her
what
what
we
to
must
focus
do
on and what
support
to
our
say
small
exactly,
businesses,
you know.
address bringing
Oh,
down the price of
Trump
groceries.
so yesterday.
the
So
American
Trump
people
is
are
so
exhausted.
yesterday
It's the
actually.
same
Like
entire playbook.
I'm the best.
President Harris.
I'm the best
Excuse me.
choice.
Every one of those cases was started by them against their political opponent. And I'm winning most of them, and I will win the rest on appeal. And you saw that with the decision that came down just recently from the Supreme Court. I'm winning most of them. But those are cases, it's called weaponization. Never happened in this country. They weaponized the Justice Department. Every one of those cases was involved with the DOJ, from Atlanta and Fani Willis
See
to
the change?
Attorney General of New York and the DA in New York. Every one of those cases.
See the
and
change in
then
the posture
they
for a
said,
second?
"Oh,
Because she's
he
like,
was-
oh,
he's a
fuck
criminal."
yeah.
They're the ones that
Oh,
made them go after me. By the way, Joe Biden
Back
was
to
found
the-
essentially
back to the
guilty
sassy
on the
black girl
documents case.
faces
And what happened in
that
my
she was
documents
coached
case?
on, that she
They
was
said,
told
"Oh,
to
that's
do."
the toughest of them all. A complete and total victory. 2 months ago, it was thrown out. It's weaponization, and they used it, and it's never happened in this country. They used it to try and win an election. They're
President Trump.
fake cases.
President Trump, thank you. A really quick response here.
He's,
Vice
like,
President
totally
Harris, this notion of
weird.
Weaponization of the Justice
Lord
Department.
Raiden.
Well, let's talk about extreme and understand the context in which this election in
Extreme.
2024
You
was.
see, she
The
said
United
extreme
States Supreme
again.
Court
She was
recently
told to
ruled
utilize
the
that
former
word.
president would essentially be immune from any misconduct if he were to enter the White House again. Understand, this is someone who has openly said he would terminate, I'm quoting, terminate the Constitution of the United States. that he would weaponize the Department of Justice against his political enemies. Someone who has openly expressed
That's what you did to him, bitch.
for members of our military. Understand what it would mean if Donald Trump were back in the White House with no guardrails. Because certainly we know now the court won't stop him. We know J.D. Vance is not going to stop him. It's up to the American people.
Vice
to
President
stop
Harris,
him.
thank you. Lindsay?
Vice President Harris, in your last run for
Oh.
president,
We gotta
This is the
continue.
one that weaponized, not me. She weaponized. I probably took a bullet to the head because of the things that they say about me. They talk about democracy. I'm a threat to democracy. They're the threat to democracy with a
President
fake
Trump,
Russia investigation
We do have a lot to
that
get-
went nowhere.
We have a lot to get to. Lindsay?
Vice President Harris, in your last run for president, you said you wanted to ban fracking. Now you don't. You wanted mandatory government buyback programs for assault weapons. Now your campaign says you don't. You supported decriminalizing border crossings. Now you're taking
Does it
a
say
hard line.
mandatory
I know
gun
you say that
buybacks?
Your values have not changed.
Did I just hear
why are so many
mandatory
of your
gun
policy
buybacks? Did I hear that
positions
correctly?
So my values have not changed, and I'm going to discuss every one of the, at least every point that you've made. But in particular, let's talk about fracking because we're here in Pennsylvania. I made that very clear in 2020.
Did I?
I will not ban fracking. I have not banned fracking as Vice President of the United States, and in fact, I was the tie-breaking vote on the Inflation Reduction Act.
Girth
which
Master.
opened new leases.
If you were in a locked room with Kamala,
My
what MMA
position
tactics
is
would you
that
use
we
to
have
subdue her?
got to
Dude,
invest
fucking.
in diverse sources of energy so we reduce our reliance
This
on
time it'd
foreign
be rape,
oil.
no escape.
We have had the largest increase in domestic oil production.
Volume is
in
real low.
history
Whose volume?
because of an approach that
Whose volume? Poo
recognizes
and pee?
that
Mine
we
or
cannot
the
rely on
debate?
foreign oil. As it relates to my values, let me tell you, I grew up a middle-class kid raised by a hardworking mother who worked and saved and was able to buy our first home when I was a teenager. The values I bring to the importance of home ownership, knowing not everybody got handed $400 million on a silver platter and then filed bankruptcy 6 times, is a value that I bring to my work to say we are going to work with the private sector and home builders to increase 3 million homes, increase by 3 million homes by the end of my first term. My work.
Turn it up
that
a
is
little bit. Let me
related
know if you need
to
more.
Having a friend when I was in high school who was sexually assaulted by her stepfather. And my focus then on protecting women and children from violent crime is based on a value that is deeply grounded in the importance of standing up for those who are most vulnerable. My
Oh,
work
John, bitch.
that is about protecting Social Security and Medicare is based on long-standing work that I have done, protecting
You were sucking
seniors
dick in
from
San
scams.
Francisco.
My values have not changed. And what is important is that there is a president who actually brings values and a perspective that is about lifting people up and not beating people down and name-calling. The true measure of the leader is the leader who actually understands the strength is not in beating people down, it's in lifting people up. I intend to be that president.
President Trump, your
Well,
response?
first of all, I wasn't given $400 million. I wish I was. My father was a Brooklyn builder, Brooklyn, Queens, and a great father, and I learned a lot from him. But I was given a fraction of that, a tiny fraction, and I built it into many, many billions of dollars, many, many billions. And when people see it, they are even surprised. So we don't have to talk about that. Fracking, she's been against it for 12 years. Defund the police, she's been against that forever. She gave all that stuff up very wrongly, very horribly, and everybody's laughing at it, okay? They're all laughing at it. She gave up at least 12 and probably 14 or 15 different policies. Like, she was big on defund the police. In Minnesota, she went out, wait a minute, I'm talking now, if you don't mind, please. Does that
Hell
sound
yeah.
familiar?
Yo,
She went out.
that was fucking great.
She went out in Minnesota and wanted to let criminals that killed people, that burned down Minneapolis.
He just-
she went out
he
and
just
raised money to get 'em
out-sassy
out of
black
jail.
ladied
She
the-
did
the
things
sassy
that nobody would
black
ever
lady.
think of. Now she wants to do transgender operations on illegal aliens that are in prison. This is a radical left liberal that would do this. She wants to confiscate your guns, and she will never allow fracking in Pennsylvania. If she won the election, fracking in Pennsylvania will end on day one. Just to finish, one thing so important in my opinion. So I got the oil business going like nobody has ever done before. when they took over, they got rid of it, started getting rid of it, and the prices were going up the roof. They immediately let these guys go to where they were. I would have been 5 times, 4 times, 5 times higher, because you're talking about 3.5 years ago. They got it up to where I was because they had no choice, because the prices of energy were quadrupling and doubling. You saw what happened to gasoline. So they said, let's go back to Trump. But if she won the election, the day after that election, they'll go back to destroying our country, and oil will be dead, fossil fuel will be dead, we'll go back to windmills, and we'll go back to solar, where they need a whole desert to get some energy to come out of it. You ever see a solar plant? By the way, I'm a big fan of solar, but they take 400, 500 acres of desert
President
soil.
Trump, we have a
These
lot
are
of
not good
issues
things
that we
for the
have to get to.
environment that
We're
she
out of time.
understands.
Thank you.
Lindsay, thank you. We have an election in just 56 days. And I want to talk about the peaceful transfer of power, which, of course, we all know is a cornerstone of our democracy, and the role of a president in a moment of crisis. Mr. President, on January 6th, you told your supporters to march to the Capitol. You said you would be right there with them. The country and the world saw what played out at the Capitol that day, the officers coming under attack. Aides in the West Wing say you watched it unfold on television off the Oval Office. You did send out tweets, but it was more than 2 hours before you sent out that video message telling your supporters to go home. Is there anything you regret about what you did on that day?
You just said a thing that isn't covered. Peacefully and patriotically, I said during my speech, not later on. Peacefully and patriotically. And nobody on the other side was killed. Ashley Babbitt was shot by an out-of-control police officer that should have never, ever shot her. It's a disgrace. But we didn't do this group of people that have been treated so badly. I asked, what about all the people that are pouring into our country and killing people that she allowed to pour in? She was the border czar, remember that. She was the border czar. She doesn't want to be called the border czar because she's embarrassed by the border. In fact, she said at the beginning, well, I'm surprised you're not talking about the border yet. That's because she knows what a bad job they've done. What about those people? When are they going to be prosecuted? When are these people from countries all over the world, not just South America? They're coming in from all over the world, David, all over the world. And crime rates are down all over the world because of it.
But let me just ask you,
David, when are those people going to be prosecuted? When are the people that burned down Minneapolis going to be prosecuted? Or in Seattle? They went into Seattle. They took over a big percentage of the city of Seattle. When are those people going to be prosecuted?
But let me just ask you.
You might ask her that question.
You were the president. You were watching it unfold on television. It's a very simple question as we move forward toward another election. Is there anything you regret about what you did on that day? Yes or no?
I had nothing
Just
to
say
do
no,
with
bro.
that other
Just
than
say
they
no.
asked me to make a speech. I showed up for a speech. I said, I think it's going to be big. I went to Nancy Pelosi and the mayor of Washington, D.C., and the mayor put it back in writing, as you know. I said, you know, this is going to be a very big rally or whatever you want to call it. And again, it wasn't done by me. It was done by others. I said, I'd like to give you 10,000 National Guard or soldiers. They rejected me. Nancy Pelosi rejected me. It was just 2 weeks ago. Her daughter has a tape of her saying she is fully responsible for what happened. They want to get rid of that tape. It would have never happened if Nancy Pelosi and the mayor of Washington did their jobs. I wasn't responsible for security. Nancy Pelosi was responsible. She didn't do her job.
The question was about you as president, not about former Speaker Pelosi, but I do want Vice President Harris to respond here.
I was at the Capitol on January 6th. I was the vice president-elect. I was also an acting senator. I was there. And on that day, the President of the United States incited a violent mob to attack our nation's capital, to desecrate our nation's capital. On that day, 140 law enforcement officers were injured, and some died. And understand, the former president has been indicted and impeached for exactly that reason. But this is not an isolated situation. Let's remember Charlottesville, where there was a mob of people carrying tiki torches, spewing anti-Semitic hate. And what did the president then at the time say? There were fine people on each side. Let's remember that when it came to the Proud Boys, a militia, the president said, the former president said, stand back and stand by. So
A
for
militia.
everyone watching who remembers what January
Boy.
6th was, I say we don't have to go back. Let's not go back. We're not going back.
Name 5
It's time to
cereals.
turn the page. And if that was a bridge too far for you, well, there is a place in our campaign for you to stand for country, to stand for our democracy, to stand for rule of law, and to end the chaos, and to
Everybody
end
knows what they
the
did.
approach that is about attacking the foundations of our democracy because you don't like the outcome. And be clear on that point. Donald Trump, the candidate, has said in this election there will be a bloodbath if this and the outcome of this election is not to his liking. Let's turn the page on this. Let's not go back. Let's chart a course for the future and not go backwards to the past.
Let me just follow up here.
It was a different term, and it was a term that related to energy because they have destroyed our energy business. That was where bloodbath was. Also, on Charlottesville, that story has been, as you would say, debunked. Laura Ingraham, Sean Hannity, Jesse, all of these people, they covered it. If they go an extra sentence, they will see it was perfect. It was debunked in almost every newspaper, but they still bring it up, just like they bring 2025 up. They bring all of this stuff up. I ask you this. You talk about the Capitol. Why are we allowing these millions of people to come through on the southern border? How come she's not doing anything? And I'll tell you what I would do, and I would be very proud to do it. I would say we would both leave this debate right now. I'd like to see her go down to Washington, D.C. during this debate because we're wasting a lot of time. Go down to, because she's been so bad, it's so ridiculous. Go down to Washington, D.C. and let her sign a bill to close up the border because they have the right to do it. They don't need bills. They have the right to do it. The President of the United States, you'll get him out of bed. You'll wake him up at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. You'll say, come on down to the office. Let's sign a bill. If he signs a bill that the border is closed, all he has to do is say it to the Border Patrol, who are phenomenal. If they do that, the border is closed.
Mr.
Those
President,
people are killing many people, unlike J6.
We talked immigration here tonight. I do want to focus on this next issue to both of you because it really brings us this into focus, truth in these times that we're living in. Mr. President, for 3.5 years after you lost the 2020 election, you repeatedly falsely claimed that you won, many times saying you won in a landslide. In the past couple of weeks leading up to this debate, you have said, quote, you lost by a whisker, that you, quote, didn't quite make it, that you came up a little bit short.
I said that?
Are you now acknowledging that you lost in 2020?
No, I don't acknowledge that at all.
But
I
you
said
did
that
say
sarcastically.
But
You know
those-
that. It was said, oh, we lost by a whisker. That was said sarcastically. Look, there's so much proof. All you have to do is look at it. And they should have sent it back to the legislatures for approval. I got almost 75 million votes, the most votes any sitting president has ever gotten. I was told if I got 63, which was what I got in 2016, you can't be beaten. The election, people should never be thinking about an election as fraudulent. We need two things. We need walls, and we have to have it. We have to have borders, and we have to have good elections. Our elections are bad. And a lot of these illegal immigrants coming in, they're trying to get them to vote. They can't even speak English. They don't even know what country they're in practically. And these people are trying to get them to vote. And that's why they're allowing them to come into our country.
I did watch all of these pieces of video. I didn't detect the sarcasm, lost by a whisker. We didn't quite make it. And we should just point out here as clarification, and you know this, you and your allies, 60 cases in front of many judges, many of them Republican.
No judge looked at it.
And said there was no
They said we didn't have
widespread fraud.
standing. That's the other thing. They said we didn't have standing, a technicality. Can you imagine a system where a person in an election doesn't have standing? The President of the United States doesn't have standing. That's how we lost. If you look at the facts, and I'd love to have you'll do a special on it. I'll show you Georgia, and I'll show you Wisconsin, and I'll show you Pennsylvania, and I'll show you. We have so many facts and statistics, but you know what? That doesn't matter because we have to solve the problem that we have right now. That's old news. And the problem that we have right now is we have a nation in decline, and they have put it into decline. We have a nation that is dying, David.
Mr. President, thank you. Vice President Harris, you
Squawk
heard the
Queen
president there
says this
tonight. He said he
moderator
didn't say that he lost by a whisker, so he
friend
still
needs to shut the
believes
fuck up.
he did
Yeah,
not lose the election that was won by President Biden and yourself. But I do want to ask you about something that's come up in the last couple of days. This was a post from President Trump about this upcoming election just weeks away. He said, when I win, those people who cheated, and then he lists donors, voters, election officials, he says will be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law, which will include
mentions
long-term
donors,
prison
and
sentences.
she's like, "You-
One of your
you stay
campaign's
away
top
from my
lawyers
money,
responded saying, we won't let Donald
Trump."
Trump intimidate us. We won't let him suppress the vote. Is that what you believe he's trying to do here?
Donald Trump was fired by 81 million people. So let's be clear about that. And clearly he is having a very difficult time processing that. But we cannot afford to have a president of the United States who attempts, as he did in the past, to upend the will of the voters in a free and fair election. And I'm going to tell you that I have traveled the world as Vice President of the United States, and world leaders are laughing at Donald Trump. I have talked with military leaders, some of whom worked with you,
Dan
and they
Halen,
say you're a disgrace.
Of course they're not going to fight.
And when you then talk in this
contempt
way
for Trump.
in a presidential debate and deny what over and over again are court cases you have lost because you did in fact lose that election, it leads one to believe that perhaps we do not have in the candidate to my right the temperament or the ability to not be confused about fact. That's deeply troubling, and the American people deserve better.
I'll give you 1 minute to respond, Mr. President.
Let me just say about world leaders. Viktor Orban, one of the most respected men, they call him a strong man. He's a tough person, smart. Prime Minister of Hungary. They said, why is the whole world blowing up? 3 years ago it wasn't. Why is it blowing up? He said, because you need Trump back as president. They were afraid of him. China was afraid, and I don't like to use the word afraid, but I'm just quoting him. China was afraid of him. North Korea was afraid of him. Look at what's going on with North Korea, by the way. He said Russia was afraid of him. I ended the Nord Stream 2 pipeline, and Biden put it back on day one, but he ended the XL pipeline. The XL pipeline in our country, he ended that. But he let the Russians build a pipeline going all over Europe and heading into Germany, the biggest pipeline in the world. Look, Viktor Orban said it. He said the most respected, most feared person is Donald Trump. We had no problems when Trump was president. But when this weak, pathetic man that you saw at a debate just a few months ago, that if he weren't in that debate, he'd be running instead of her. She got no votes. He got 14 million votes. What you did, you talk about a threat to democracy.
He should have brought Jimmy with him.
He got 14 million
Jimmy
votes,
with
and
the
they
horn.
threw him out of office. And you know what? I'll give you a little secret. He hates her. He can't stand her. But he got 14 million votes. They threw him out. She got 0
she
votes.
knows,
and
too.
when she ran, she
That
was
was a
the first one to
pained
leave
smile.
because
That
she
was-
failed.
that was a pained
and now
grin
she's
is
running.
what that
I
was.
don't understand it, but
Mr.
I'm
President,
okay with it
Mr.
because
President, your time is
I think
up.
we're
Thank
going to
you.
do very well.
We've got a lot more to get to.
Turning now
Yes.
to the Israel-Hamas war and the hostages who are still being held, Americans among them. Vice President Harris, in December, you said, quote, Israel has a right to defend itself, but you added, quote, it matters how, saying international humanitarian law must be respected. Israel must do more to protect innocent civilians. You said that 9 months ago. Now an estimated 40,000 Palestinians are dead. Nearly 100 hostages remain. Just last week, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said there's not a deal in the making. President Biden has not been able to break through the stalemate. How would you do it?
Well, let's understand how we got here. On October 7, Hamas, a terrorist organization, slaughtered 1,200 Israelis, many of them young people who were simply attending a concert. Women were
1,200?
horribly raped. And so absolutely, I said then, I say now, Israel
You're
has a
talking
right to defend itself. We would.
1,200 casualties.
And how it does so matters.
in
because
one day
it is also true, far
with
too many
rifles.
innocent Palestinians have been killed.
And I would
Children,
assume rockets.
mothers. What we know is that this war must end.
Are you sure it was
must
that much?
end immediately, and the way it will end is we need
are
a
you sure it was
ceasefire deal,
that-
and we need
that
the
many?
hostages out. And so we will continue to work around the clock on that. Work around the clock, also understanding that we must chart a course for a two-state solution. And in that solution, there must be security for the Israeli people and Israel, and in equal measure for the Palestinians. But the one thing I will assure you always, I will always give Israel the ability to defend itself, in particular as it relates to Iran, and any threat that Iran and its proxies pose to Israel. But we must have a two-state solution where we can rebuild Gaza, where the Palestinians have security, self-determination, and the dignity they so rightly deserve.
President Trump, how would you negotiate with Netanyahu and also Hamas in order to get the hostages out and prevent the killing of more innocent civilians in Gaza?
If I were president, it would have never started. If I were president, Russia would have never, ever, I know Putin very well, he would have never, and there was no threat of it either, by the way, for 4 years, have gone into Ukraine and killed millions of people when you add it up, far worse than people understand what's going on over there. But when she mentions about Israel, all of a sudden, she hates Israel. She wouldn't even meet with Netanyahu when he went to Congress to make a very important speech. She refused to be there because she was at a sorority party of hers. She wanted to go to the sorority party.
I'm going to give
she
$1 million.
Hates Israel.
I'm going to give
if she's
$2 million.
President, I believe that Israel will not exist within 2 years from now. And I've been pretty good at predictions, and I hope I'm wrong about that one. She hates Israel. At the same time, in her own way, she hates the Arab population because the whole place is going to get blown up. Arabs, Jewish people, Israel will be gone.
Holy shit.
It would have never happened. Iran was broke under Donald Trump. Now Iran has $300 billion because they took off all the sanctions that I had. Iran had no money for Hamas or Hezbollah or any of the 28 different spheres of terror. And they are spheres of terror, horrible terror. They had no money. It was a big story, and you know it. You covered it very well, actually.
Spheres of
they
terror.
had no money for terror. They were broke. Now they're a rich nation, and now what they're doing is they're spreading that money around. Look at what's happening with the Houthis and Yemen. Look at what's going on in the Middle East. This would have never happened. I will get that settled and fast, and I'll get the war with Ukraine and Russia ended. If I'm president-elect, I'll get it done before even becoming president.
Vice President Harris, he says you hate Israel.
That's absolutely not true. I have my entire career and life supported Israel and the Israeli people. He knows that. He's trying to, again, divide and distract from the reality, which is it is very well known that Donald Trump is weak and wrong on national security and foreign policy. It is well known that he admires dictators, wants to be a dictator on day one, according to himself. It is well known that he said of Putin that he can do whatever the hell he wants and go into Ukraine. It is well known that he said when Russia went into Ukraine, it was brilliant. It is well known he exchanged love letters with Kim Jong-un, and it is absolutely well known that these dictators and autocrats are rooting for you to be president again because they're so clear. They can manipulate you with flattery and favors. And that is why so many military leaders who you have worked with have told me you are a disgrace.
What about the Christians, Trump, millions over there? You mean the
who is
cannon
not
fodder?
Consistently weak and wrong on
Vice
national
President
including
That's
the
basically what
importance
they are
of
over there.
upholding and
There's two
respecting in
groups of
highest
shitheads
regard our
fighting, and
military.
they're just caught
Vice
in the middle of
President
it.
Harris,
Like,
thank
hey, do you guys want to
And she's the one
hurt us?
that
And
caused it.
just
That's
doesn't
weak
happen.
on national security by allowing every nation last month for the year, 168 different countries sending people into our country. Their crime rates are way down. Putin endorsed her last week, said, I hope she wins. And I think he meant it, because what he's gotten away with is absolutely incredible. It wouldn't have happened with me. The
Someone said it's
leaders
Barack
of other
Obama
countries
wearing,
think that they're weak
Kamala's skin.
and incompetent, and they are. They're grossly
Want to follow
incompetent.
Americans?
And I just ask one question. Why does Biden go in and kill the Keystone Pipeline and approved the single biggest deal that Russia's ever made, Nord Stream 2, the biggest pipeline anywhere in the world going to Germany and all over Europe, because they're weak and they're ineffective. And Biden, by the way,
President
gets paid
Trump,
a lot of money.
Thank you. We have a lot of issues to get to.
We'll be right back with much more of this historic ABC News presidential debate from the National Constitution Center right here in Philadelphia. Back in a moment.
You know what would be really funny? If those two
The ABC
ran
News
into each other head
presidential
first.
debate will continue after this.
It'd be really funny if the two moderators they got on opposite ends of the room, and they just ran full speed and went bonk head first. Not like like full on like running with your head down, just boom. That'd be the best shit. I wonder who would come out on top. I would say it would be the guy. I would guess it would be the guy, for obvious reasons, but I don't know. I feel like the chick might surprise us. You know, you never really do know. You never really do know. Un momento, por favor. There we go. Oh boy. No free advertising. Fuck you, sandals. Oh, Survivor. Yeah, it's Survivor, isn't it? No? I don't know. Something fucking stupid anyway. Oh, Rescue High Surf. Oh boy. Kamala looked shook in the final camera pan of the stage. I don't know, maybe she was, you know. Here's the thing, what's going on right now is Kamala is actually holding her own pretty well. There are certain moments that she has where it's like, oh, she actually doesn't sound terrible right now. But of course, it's easy for her to do that now because it's a debate that she has to be actually ready for. Speaking off the cuff, she is absolutely positively terrible at doing that, right? Now, that doesn't matter 1,000,000%, I suppose, because there are going to be a lot of people who do make their decision based off of this debate. But when it comes down to it, Kamala's not doing terrible. But you can tell that a lot of what she's doing is her strategist telling her what to say and how to say it, looking out for things that she was expecting Trump to say so that she can say what her strategist told her to say in response, you know? And again, trying to convince you that like Trump's rhetoric is tired and old as opposed to correct, you know? Trying to act like it's like I said, not 100% leaning into the sassy black lady thing, but kind of sort of putting a little bit of a tinge in there, I suppose, by trying to be like, nah, that's tired and old. That's tired and old. Nah, fuck that. That's tired and old. We need some black girl magic is what we need. You know, like that's kind of sort of what she's leaning into on a certain degree. She's not very heavy-handed with it. Knows that, and maybe if there was a pained look on her face, maybe that's what it was. Either that, maybe she's like fucked up on barbiturates or something like that. Whatever she takes, whatever fucking whatever politicians take nowadays, you know. Maybe it's partially because of that. I don't know, but. Overall, I'm not sure who I would say is winning. Of course, I want Trump to be the guy who's like absolutely positively winning, but it's real easy for me to say I think Trump's winning because I want Trump more than I want Kamala. You know, there's like, and this is kind of what I'm talking about with debates, is like debates are fucking pointless. Even debates like this, because like I don't know anyone who hasn't made up their mind by now. This is all just part of the theater aspect of it. You know, everyone's made their fucking mind up by now. So it's like, what's even the point? You know, it's like, who even cares at this point? It's just fun to watch Trump do his thing, and it's fun to watch Kamala, like, hang on for dear life, you know? But with that said, let's go ahead.
Into this conflict. Mr. President, it has been the position of the Biden administration that we must defend Ukraine from Russia, from Vladimir Putin, to defend their sovereignty, their democracy, that it's in America's best interest to do so, arguing that if Putin wins,
Scott,
he may be emboldened to move even further into other
Deadpool
countries.
And Wolverine,
You have said you would solve this
I know,
war in
it's
24
fucking
hours. You
disgusting,
said
dude.
so just before the break tonight.
They need to
How
get their
exactly
shit
would
together.
you do that? And I want to ask you a very simple question tonight. Do you want Ukraine to win this war?
I want the war to stop. I want to save lives that are being uselessly,
Kamal have a goiter?
people
What's a
being
goiter?
killed by the millions. It's the millions. It's so much worse than the numbers that you're getting, which are fake numbers. Look, we're in for 250 billion or more because they don't ask Europe, which is a much bigger beneficiary to getting this thing done than we are. They're in for $150 billion
This is what a goiter
less
is.
because Biden and you don't have the courage to ask Europe like I did with NATO.
I see it a little
They
bit.
paid billions and billions, hundreds of billions of dollars when I said, either you pay up or we're not going to protect you anymore. So that's maybe one of the reasons they don't like me as much as they like weak people. But you take a look at what's happening. We're in for 250 to 275 billion. They're into 100 to 150. They should be forced to equalize. With that being said, I want to get the war settled. I know Zelensky very well, and I know Putin very well. I have a good relationship, and they respect your president, okay? They respect me. They don't respect Biden. How would you respect him? Why? For what reason? He hasn't even made a phone call in 2 years to Putin, hasn't spoken to anybody. They don't even try and get it. That is a war that's dying to be settled.
We
I will
struggle
get
trying
it
to
settled
stop the
before
war
I
instead of
even become
instigating it.
president.
Yes,
If I
exactly.
win, when I'm president-elect, and what I'll do is I'll speak to one, I'll speak to the other, I'll get them together. That war would have never happened. And in fact, when I saw Putin after I left, unfortunately,
they're-
left because our country
I'm
has
turning
gone
it down
to
just a
hell.
little bit.
But
They're
after I left, when I saw him
asking
building
loaded
up
questions.
soldiers,
They're
he did it
asking,
after
do
I
you
left.
support taking
I said,
candy from
"Oh,
babies?
He must be
Do
negotiating.
you
It must be a good, strong
support
point of
kicking
negotiation."
puppies?
Well, it wasn't.
They're asking
because
questions that are
Biden
along
had
those
no
lines,
idea how
where
to
it's
talk
like,
to him. He had no idea how to stop
almost
it.
100%
And now
of the
you have
time you would
millions
be
of
like,
people
"Oh,
dead,
no, I
and
don't
it's only
support
getting
that."
worse,
But
and it could lead to World
of course,
War III.
they're
Don't
asking
kid
it in
yourself,
bad faith
David.
in a way
We're
that's
playing with World
designed
War
to be
III,
like,
and we have a president that
well,
we don't even know
if it
he's-
meant
Where is our
you
president?
would die,
we don't even
would
know
you
if he's
kick
a
a puppy?
president.
And just to
And
clarify,
then when you're
They
like,
threw him
yeah,
out of the
they're like,
campaign
"Oh,
like
you
a
said you'd
dog.
kick
We don't
puppies,
even
right?"
know. Is he our president?
If that makes sense,
But we
what I'm
have a
trying to say right
president
now,
Mr.
you know,
President,
it's
that
just
doesn't know
fucking,
he's alive.
it's just
Your time is
ridiculous,
up.
and that's why he's
Just to
talking like
clarify the
this,
question,
you know?
do you believe it's in the U.S. best interest for Ukraine to win this war, yes or no?
I think it's the U.S. best interest to get this war finished and just get it done.
All right.
Negotiate a deal
You
because
see,
we
he
have
could
to
he could have
stop
said that
all
right
of
out the
these
gate, and
human
it would have been a lot
lives
better.
from being destroyed.
But it's like I
wanna
said,
take this
they're
to Vice
asking him
President
loaded
Harris. I want to get your
questions
thoughts
that
on,
are
support
specifically
for Ukraine
designed
in this moment,
to make him
but
look
also,
bad.
as
You know?
Commander-in-Chief,
Of course,
if
Kamal is going to
elected,
be like,
how
"Yeah,
would you deal with
Ukraine,
Vladimir
yeah."
Putin, and would it be any different from what we're seeing from President Biden?
Well, first of all, it's important to remind the former president, you're not running against Joe Biden, you're running against me.
Thank you, Peach Boy Fisher,
I
for the
believe
$5.
the reason that Donald Trump
Wouldn't be
says that
watching
this
if
war would
anyone
be
else
over
big
within
ups,
24
fellas.
hours is
Thank
because
you,
he
man.
would just
Thank you
give
so
it up.
much.
And that's not who we are as Americans. Let's understand what happened here. I actually met with Zelensky a few days before Russia invaded, tried through force to change territorial boundaries, to defy one of the most important international rules and norms, which is the importance of sovereignty and territorial integrity. And I met with President Zelensky. I shared with him American intelligence about how he could defend himself. Days later, I went to NATO's eastern flank, to Poland and Romania. And through the work that I and others did, we brought 50 countries together to support Ukraine in its righteous defense. And because of our support, because of the air defense, the ammunition, the artillery, the javelins, the Abrams tanks that we have provided, Ukraine stands as an independent and free country. If Donald Trump were president, Putin would be sitting in Kyiv right now. And understand what that would mean, because Putin's agenda
We all
is
know
not
that's
just
false.
about Ukraine. Understand why the European allies and our NATO allies are so thankful that you are no longer president, and that we understand the importance of the greatest military alliance the world has ever known, which is NATO, and what we have done to preserve the ability of Zelensky and the Ukrainians to fight for their independence. Otherwise, Putin would be sitting in Kyiv with his eyes on the rest of Europe, starting with Poland. And why don't you tell the 800,000 Polish Americans right here in Pennsylvania how quickly you would give up for the sake of favor and what you think is a friendship with what is known to be a dictator who would eat you for lunch.
Vice President Harris, thank you. We've heard from both of you on Ukraine tonight. Afghanistan came up in the last hour. I wanted her to respond to something you said earlier, and now, please, I'll give you a minute here.
Putin would be sitting in Moscow, and he wouldn't have lost 300,000 men and women, but he would have been sitting in Moscow. Quiet, please. He would have been sitting in Moscow.
Quiet, please.
Much happier than he is right now.
I'm speaking. Excuse
but
me.
eventually, you know, he's got a thing
I'm
that
speaking.
other people don't have. He's got nuclear weapons.
A black
They don't
woman
ever
is
talk
speaking.
about that. He's got nuclear weapons.
Listen and learn.
Nobody ever thinks about that. And eventually, maybe he'll use them, and maybe he hasn't been that threatening, but he does have that. Something we don't even like to talk about. Nobody likes to talk about it. But just so you understand, they sent her to negotiate peace before this war started. 3 days later, he went in and he started the war because everything they said was weak and stupid. They said the wrong things. That war should have never started. She was the emissary. They sent her in to negotiate with Zelensky and Putin, and she did. And the war started 3 days later. And that's the kind of talent we have with her. She's worse than Biden. In my opinion, I think he's the worst president in the history of our country. She goes down as the worst vice president in the history of our country. But let me tell you something. She is a horrible negotiator. They sent her in to negotiate. As soon as they left, Putin did the invasion.
President Trump, thank you. You did bring up something. You said she went to negotiate with Vladimir Putin. Vice President Harris, have you ever met Vladimir Putin? Can you clarify tonight?
Yet again, I said it at the beginning of this debate, you're going to hear a bunch of lies coming from this fellow. And that is another one. When I went to meet with President Zelensky, I've now met with him over 5 times. The reality is, it has been about standing as America always should,
Did he say she went to
as
meet
a leader,
Putin, or she just went
upholding
over there to
international
try and negotiate
rules
peace?
and norms, as a leader
two different
who
things.
shows strength, understanding that the alliances we have around the world are dependent on our ability to look out for our friends and not favor our enemies because you adore strongmen instead of caring about democracy. And that is very much what is at stake here. The President of the United States is commander-in-chief, and the American people have a right to rely on a president.
I get punched
who
in the head, and this bitch
understands
still
the
sounds like she's
significance
got
of
to wear
America's
CTE
role
to me.
and responsibility in terms of ensuring that there is stability and ensuring we stand
Sounds
up
like
for our
fucking,
principles
female
and not
Bill
sell
Cosby.
them for the benefit of personal flattery.
We've talked about
And
Ukraine
war
and
in
Vladimir
Ukraine.
Putin. I do want to talk about Afghanistan. It came up in the first hour of this debate. I want to move on to Afghanistan.
Stoltenberg said Trump did the most amazing thing I've ever seen. He got these countries, the 28 countries at the time, to pay up. He said, I've never seen. He's the head of NATO. He said, I've never seen. For years, we were paying almost all of NATO. We were being ripped off by European nations, both on trade and on NATO. I got them to pay up by saying one of the statements you made before, if you don't pay, we're not going to protect you.
President
Otherwise,
Trump.
we would have never gotten it. He said it was one of the most incredible jobs that he's ever seen done.
Thank you. I want to turn to Afghanistan. It came up in the first hour of the debate, and we witnessed a poignant moment today on Capitol Hill, honoring the soldiers who died in the chaotic withdrawal from Afghanistan. I do want to ask the Vice President, do you believe you bear any responsibility in the way that withdrawal played out?
Well, I will tell you, I agreed with President Biden's decision to pull out of Afghanistan. 4 presidents said they would, and Joe Biden did. And as a result, America's taxpayers are not paying the $300 million a day we were paying for that endless war. And as of today, there is not one member of the United States military who is in active duty in a combat zone in any war zone around the world, the first time this century. But let's understand how we got to where we are. Donald Trump, when he was president, negotiated one of the weakest deals you can imagine. He calls himself a deal maker. Even his national security advisor said it was a weak, terrible deal. And here's how it went down. He bypassed the Afghan government. He negotiated directly with a terrorist organization called the Taliban. The negotiation involved the Taliban getting 5,000 Taliban terrorists released.
Yeah, you know what? Fuck
and
it.
get this. No, get this. And
I'm turning it
the
down.
president
Don't
at the
complain to me
time
about the shit being
invited
too
the
low,
Taliban
all right?
to
Because
Camp
fucking
David,
people are coming to me like,
a
oh,
place
the
of
debate's too
storied
low.
significance
Oh,
for us
the
as
debate's
Americans,
too
a
high.
place where
It's
we
staying here.
honor the
You guys
importance
should
of
be able to hear
American
me over it when I
diplomacy,
do
where
speak.
we invite and receive respected world leaders. And this former president, as president, invited them to Camp David because he does not again appreciate the role and responsibility of the President of the United States to be commander-in-chief with a level of respect. And this gets back to the point of how he has consistently disparaged and demeaned members of our military, fallen soldiers.
She looks
and the
stupid
work
with
that
those
we
fucking
must do
earrings.
to uphold
I
the
can't take my
strength
eyes off him now
and the
that I noticed him.
respect of the United States of America around the world.
Vice President Harris, thank you. President Trump, your response to her saying that you began the
Yeah,
negotiations
thank
with
you.
the Taliban.
So
He's like, yeah,
If
shut
you
up,
take a
thank
look
you.
at that period
My
of
turn to
time,
talk.
the Taliban was killing our soldiers, a lot of them, with snipers. And I got involved with the Taliban because the Taliban was doing the killing. That's the
I
fighting
got
force
involved
within
with the
Afghanistan.
Taliban.
They don't bother doing that because, you know, they
Because
kill
I wanted
more
to bring
people all
about the
time.
unstoppable
But
tide
I
of
got
Islam.
involved. And Abdul is the head of the Taliban. He is still the head of the Taliban. And I told Abdul, don't do it
Abdul.
anymore. You do it
That
anymore,
sounds
you're gonna have
funny as
problems.
shit, dude.
And he said, why do you send me a picture of my house? I said, you're going to have to figure that out, Abdul. And for 18 months, we had nobody killed.
Yo,
we
that's
did have
fucking
an agreement
baller, dude.
negotiated
Holy
by
shit.
Mike Pompeo. It was a very good agreement. The reason it was good, it was we were getting out.
Yo,
We
that
were
right,
getting
that
out
right
faster
there
than
is
ever.
fucking
We wouldn't have
baller.
lost the
Hey
soldiers.
man,
We wouldn't have
here's a
left
picture of
many
your house.
Americans behind,
Don't
and we
fuck
wouldn't have
around
left-
anymore.
We wouldn't have left.
Sir, why
$85
are you
billion
sending picture
worth
of us?
brand new, beautiful military equipment behind. And just to finish, they blew it. The agreement said you have to do this, and they didn't do it. They didn't do it. The agreement was
At least Trump has
was
the balls to
terminated
talk
by
to the
us
bad guys,
because
exactly.
They didn't do what
He has
they
the
were
balls to
supposed
go in
do.
there and
I
be
wanna-
like,
And
yo,
these
you better not
people
do that,
did the
because if you
worst
do,
with the
you're gonna
draw.
unlock,
And
you're
in
gonna
my opinion, the
uncan,
most
you're gonna
embarrassing
open up a
moment
can of
in the
whoop
history of our
ass.
country. And
That's
by the
exactly
way,
how they
that's
say
why
it. They
Russia
stutter twice.
attacked Ukraine because they saw how incompetent she and her boss are.
President Trump, thank you. I want to move on now to race and politics in this country. Mr.
Oh,
President,
here
you
we go.
recently said of Vice President Harris, quote, I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black. I want to ask a bigger picture question here tonight.
If
Why do you
we're gonna
believe
get
it's
sassy
appropriate
black
to weigh in on the
Kamala,
racial
it's
identity
here.
of
It's
your
gonna be
opponent?
here.
I don't, and I don't care. I don't care what she is. I don't care. You make a big deal out of something. I couldn't care less. Whatever she wants to be is okay with me.
But those were your words, so I'm
I
asking.
don't know. I don't know. I mean, all I can say is I read where she was not black, that she put out, and I'll say that. And then I read that she was black, and that's okay. Either one was okay with me. That's up to her. That's up to her.
That's
Vice
up to
President
her.
Harris, your thoughts on this?
I think
I'd be
it's-
like, that's up to her, but
honestly,
she's
I
got to
think it's
pick one.
a tragedy that we have someone who wants to be president who has consistently, over the course of his career, attempted to use race to divide the American people. You know, I do believe that the vast majority of us know that we have so much more in common than what separates us, and we don't want this kind of approach that is just constantly trying to divide us, and especially by race. And let's remember how Donald Trump started. He was land, he owned buildings, and he was investigated because he refused to rent property to black families.
Oh.
Let's remember, this is the same individual.
I thought she was
who
starting
took
to
out a
like.
full-page ad in the New York Times
I thought she was about to start
calling
doing
for
a
the
Biden.
execution of 5 young black and Latino boys who were innocent, the Central Park 5. Took out a full-page ad calling for their execution. This is the same individual who spread birther lies about the first black president of the United States.
He's darker
And I
than
think
she
the
is.
American people
Honestly, they are
want
comparable.
better than that, want better than this. want someone who understands, as I do, I travel our country. We see in each other a friend. We see in each other a neighbor. We don't want a leader who is constantly trying to have Americans point their fingers at each other. I meet
My
with
neighbors
people all
fuck
the
with my
time
car.
who tell me,
My
"Can we
neighbors
please just have
let their
discourse
kids hang out
about
and harass
how we're
people
going to
walking in and
invest
out
in
of my
the
place.
aspirations and the ambitions and the dreams of the American people?"
They're
Knowing
just
that
ambitious
regardless of
dreamers,
people's
is what they
color or
are.
the language their grandmother speaks, we all have the same dreams and aspirations and want a president who invests in those, not in hate and division.
Vice President Harris, thank you. Lindsay?
President Trump, this is now your third time.
This is the most divisive presidency in the history of our country. There's never been anything like it. They're destroying our country, and they come up
Actually,
with
it's a
things
pretty
like
unifying presidency
what you
because
just
literally
said.
everybody I know
Going
hates
back many,
this
many
bitch.
years, when a lot of people, including Mayor Bloomberg, agreed with me on the Central Park Five, they admitted, they said, they pled guilty. And I said, well, if they pled guilty, they badly hurt a person, killed a person ultimately. And if they pled guilty, then they pled, we're not guilty. But this is a person
Please, sir, vote
that
for
has
me.
to stretch back years,
Please, sir,
40,
vote for
50
me.
years
Bloody.
ago, because there's nothing now. I built one of the greatest economies in the history of the world, and I'm going to build it again. It's going to be bigger, better, and stronger. But they're destroying our economy. They have no idea what a good economy is. Their oil policies, every single policy. And remember this, she is Biden. You know, she's trying to get away from Biden. I don't know the gentleman, she says.
am a sassy black
She is
woman.
Biden.
Bloody.
The worst inflation we've ever had, a
Fuck you,
horrible
bloody.
economy because inflation has
Shaniqua.
made it so bad, and she
President.
can't get away with that.
Thank you. Your time is up.
I
Lindsay?
want to respond to that, though. I want to just respond briefly. Clearly, I am not Joe Biden, and I am certainly not Donald Trump.
We got a little.
And what I
khaki.
do offer
But
is a
khaki,
new
we got a
generation
little
of leadership
cackle.
for our country. One who believes in what is possible, one who
This
brings a
old
sense
bitch
of optimism
is the new generation.
about what we can do instead of always disparaging the American people. I believe in what we can do to strengthen our small businesses, which is why I have a plan. Let's talk about our plans and let's compare the plans. I have a plan to give startup businesses $50,000 tax deduction.
Thank you, Practical
To
Thumb, for the
pursue
dollar menu
their
early
ambitions,
access
their
on YouTube. I
innovation,
appreciate
their
that, man.
ideas,
Thank you.
their hard work. I have a plan, $6,000 for young families for the first year of your child's life to help you
Oh,
in
yeah?
that most critical stage of your child's
6,000? Gee,
development.
thanks.
I have a plan.
Gee,
That is
thanks.
about allowing people to be able to
That's
pursue
gonna help.
what has been fleeting in terms of the American dream by offering a help with down payment of $25,000 down payment assistance for first-time home buyers. That's the kind of conversation, I believe, David, that people really want tonight, as opposed to a conversation that
20,
is constantly
25 grand
about
down payment
belittling
assistance
and
on your
name-calling.
fucking
Let's turn the
on your
page.
Vice
$500,000
President Thank you. Let's turn to
two-bedroom
policy.
President
house.
Trump, we have to move
Gee,
on.
thanks.
President Trump,
Let's
Gee,
turn to
fucking
policy.
thanks, bitch.
To defund the police. She has a plan to confiscate everybody's gun.
President Trump,
she
we
has
do
a
have to
plan
move
to
on to
not
other
allow
issues.
fracking in Pennsylvania or anywhere else.
Okay. Thank you,
That's
Mr.
what her
President.
plan is until just recently.
I just need
Lindsay,
to
go ahead.
respond
No,
because
Trump,
no, the
President
former
Trump.
president has said
No, I'm
something
sorry.
twice that I need to
No,
respond to.
I'm sorry.
I
We're
just
going
need
to
to
move
respond
on, Vice
one
President.
time
No,
to
no,
what
no,
he
we're gonna
President
move on.
Trump,
We're gonna
this
move
is
on.
now your
Yes.
third time running for president.
Oh,
You have
shit.
long vowed to repeal and replace the Affordable Care
The-
Act.
the
also
the real
known as
black woman
Obamacare.
told
You
the
have
fake
failed to
black woman
accomplish
that,
You
she
now
needs to
say
shut
you're
her
gonna
mouth.
Keep Obamacare, quote,
Yeah.
unless we can do
Kamala
something
had
much
to-
better.
Kamala had to
Last
shut up,
month,
listen,
you
and
said,
learn.
quote, we're working on it. So tonight, 9 years after you first started running, do you have a plan, and can you tell us what it is?
Obamacare was lousy health care, always was. It's not very good today. And what I said, that if we come up with something, and we are working on things, we're going to do it and we're going to replace it. But remember this, I inherited Obamacare because Democrats wouldn't change it. They wouldn't vote for it. They were unanimous. They wouldn't vote to change it. If they would have done that, we would have had a much better plan than Obamacare. But the Democrats came up, they wouldn't vote for it. I had a choice to
ice
make when
my
I was
shoulder.
president. Do I save it and make it as good as it can be? Never going to be great. or do I let it rot?
The black
And
woman
I felt I
hierarchy
had
on
an
full display.
obligation, even though politically it would have been good to just let it rot and let it go away. I decided, and I told my people, the top people, and they're very good people. I have a lot of good people in that administration. We read about the bad ones. We had some real bad ones, too, and so do they. They have really bad ones. The difference is they don't get rid of them. But let me just explain. I had a choice to make. Do I save it and make it as good as it can be, or do
going
I let
on,
it
Sid
rot?
Barretta? How you doing, man?
And I saved it. I did the right thing. But it's still never going to be great, and it's too expensive for people. And what we will do is we're looking at different plans. If we can come up with a plan that's going to cost our people, our population, less money and be better health care than Obamacare, then
all
I
gonna
would
be pounding the
absolutely do
drinks
it.
down after,
But
yeah.
until then, I'd run it as
She
good
really
as it
has
can be
Hillary
run.
Clinton
So just
vibes
yes
to
or no,
her,
you
if
still
I'm
do
being
not
honest,
have a
too.
plan.
I have concepts
Oh,
of a
I
plan.
leveled up.
I'm not president right now. But if we come up with something, I would only change it if we come up with something that's better and less expensive. And there are concepts and options we have to do that. And you'll be hearing about it in the not-too-distant future.
Vice President Harris, in 2017, you supported Bernie Sanders' proposal to do away with private insurance and create a government-run healthcare system. 2 years later, you proposed a plan that included a private insurance option. What is your plan today?
Well, first of all, I absolutely support, and over the last 4 years as vice president, private health care options. But what we need to do is maintain and grow the Affordable Care Act. But I'll get to that, Lindsay. I just need to respond to a previous point that the former president has made.
previous
I've
point
made
5
very
years-
clear my
5
position on
minutes ago.
fracking. And then this business about taking everyone's guns away. Tim Walz and I are both gun owners. We're not taking anybody's guns away. So stop with the continuous lying about this stuff. As it relates to the Affordable Care Act, understand.
We're not
just
we're not
look at the
taking
history
anyone's
to know
guns
where
away
people
except the
stand.
regular people.
When Donald Trump was president, 60 times he tried to get rid of the Affordable Care Act. 60 times. I was a senator at the time when I will never forget the early morning hours when it was up for a vote in the United States Senate, and the late, great John McCain, who you have disparaged as being you don't like who you said at the time because he got caught. He was an American hero. The late, great John McCain, I will never forget that night, walked onto the Senate floor and said,
man.
no, you don't. No, you don't. No, you don't get rid of the Affordable Care Act. You
Oh,
have no
man.
plan. And what the
That's
Affordable
crazy,
Care
bro.
Act has done is eliminate the ability of insurance companies to deny people
Man.
with pre-existing conditions. I don't have to tell the people watching tonight, you remember what that was like?
Holy
Remember
shit.
when an insurance company could deny if a child had asthma, if
The
someone
late,
was a breast
great
cancer
John
survivor,
McCain.
if a grandparent had diabetes?
Man.
And thankfully, as I've been vice president and we
Man,
over the
oh,
last
man.
4 years have strengthened the Affordable Care Act, we have allowed for the first time Medicare to negotiate drug prices
Of all
on behalf
things to
of
hear
you, the
tonight.
American people.
Of
Donald
all
Trump said
things
he
to
was going
hear
to allow
tonight.
Medicare to negotiate drug prices. He never did. We did.
Man.
And now we have capped the cost of insulin at $35 a month. Since I've been vice president, we have capped the cost of prescription medication for seniors at $2,000 a year. And when I am president, we will do that for all people, understanding
All right.
that the
I
value I
gotta
bring
run to
to
the bathroom
this
real quick. I'll be right
is
back.
that access to health care should be a right and not just a privilege of those who can
Yeah.
afford it. And
I gotta
the
take a
plan
fat shit,
has to
guys. I'll be right back. Don't
to
worry.
strengthen the Affordable Care Act, not get rid of it.
Vice
Past its
President
prologue
Harris,
in
thank
terms
you.
of where Donald Trump stands on that.
I want to move to an issue that's important for a
She
lot
made a
of
mistake. Number one, John McCain fought Obamacare for 10 years. But it wasn't only him. It were all of the Democrats that kept it going. And you know what? We can do much better than Obamacare, much less money. But she won't improve private insurance for people, private medical insurance. That's another thing she doesn't want to give.
President
People
Trump-
are paying privately for insurance that have worked hard and made money, and they want to have private. She wants everybody to be on government insurance where you wait 6 months for an operation that you need immediately.
President Trump, thank you. We have another issue that we'd like to get to that's important for a number of Americans, in particular younger voters, and that's climate change. President Trump, with regard to the environment, you say that we have to have clean air and clean water. Vice President Harris, you call climate change an existential threat. The question to you both tonight is, what would you do to fight climate change? And Vice President Harris, we'll start with you. 1 minute for you each.
Well, the former president had said the climate change is a hoax. And what we know is that it is very real. You ask anyone who lives in a state who has experienced these extreme weather occurrences, who now is either being denied home insurance or it's being jacked up. You ask anybody who has been the victim of what that means in terms of losing their home, having nowhere to go. We know that we can actually deal with this issue. The young people of America care deeply about this issue. And I am proud that as Vice President over the last 4 years, we have invested $1 trillion in a clean energy economy, while we have also increased domestic gas production to historic levels. We have created over 800,000 new manufacturing jobs while I have been Vice President. We have invested in clean energy to the point that we are opening up factories around the world. Donald Trump said he was going to create manufacturing jobs. He lost manufacturing jobs. And I'm also proud to have the endorsement of the United Auto Workers and Sean Fain, who also know that part of building a clean energy economy includes investing in American-made products, American automobiles. It includes growing what we can do around American manufacturing and opening up auto plants, not closing them like happened under Donald Trump.
Vice President Harris, thank you.
That didn't happen under Donald Trump. Let me just tell you, they lost 10,000 manufacturing jobs this last month. It's going, they're all leaving. They're building big auto plants in Mexico, in many cases owned by China. They're building these massive plants, and they think they're going to sell their cars into the United States because of these people. What they have given to China is unbelievable. But we're not going to let that. We'll put tariffs on those cars so they can't come into our country, because they will kill the United Auto Workers and any auto worker, whether it's in Detroit or South Carolina or any other place. What they've done to business and manufacturing in this country is horrible. We have nothing because they refuse. You know, Biden doesn't go after people because supposedly China paid him millions of dollars. He's afraid to do it. Between him and his son, they get all this money from Ukraine. They get all this money from all of these different countries. And then you wonder, why is he so loyal to this one, that one, Ukraine, China? Why is he? Why did he get $3.5 million from the mayor of Moscow's wife? Why did she pay him $3.5 million? This is a crooked administration, and they're selling our country down the tubes.
President Trump, thank you.
Thank you.
We'll be right back with closing statements from both of our candidates. An historic night, this ABC News presidential debate from Philadelphia. Back in a moment.
The ABC News presidential debate will continue after this.
Tom Brady, the broadcaster? Why do it? Tommy, why?
Yeah, Tommy. Why don't you lay on a beach getting fat on pina coladas? They don't understand that our football journey isn't even close to done. Because you're Tom freaking Brady.
One day, you'll be the greatest there ever was.
Back to work.
Jalen Milroe and Alabama take on Wisconsin. Big noon Saturday, only on Fox.
They found the body.
Imagine you're looking at a painting. What's missing?
He is an artist.
Big picture first, and details.
Folks are on edge, boss.
Be careful.
The steely gaze and the cryptic silence. You're very good at that.
I'm Carl Allenberg, Chief of Police.
We're back on the floor. This season, there are 100 more of you. This whole thing just got
back.
a lot tougher with more to conquer.
Hyena.
Hippopotamus. Pass. So much
We back like I never left. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, when it comes down to it, I think that second round was definitely Trump's round. Kamala had her moments, but you could tell she was starting to fall apart a little bit. Speech slurring, you know. I think some of the other the slow acting pills probably hit right then and there. The slow acting ones probably hit right then and there, and because of that, some of the shit she was saying was just like, it was just funny, you know. But then on top of that, I think it's interesting that Trump called her out for taking a lot of his like work back to America, etc., etc. Like, that's all stuff that you do. I feel like you don't even hear that from liberals in the first place, right? But especially to be the one sitting across from Trump or sitting to the side of Trump saying, this is what we're going to do to make the country better. Everything that guy tried to do, everything that guy tried to do to make the country better is what we're going to do. It's just funny to see that, you know? Yeah, overall, like, it's like I said, Kamala, she's not doing terrible, but you can also tell that she is, she's stiff. She's stiff, and she's just doing what she's told up there. You know, she was told to say most of the stuff that she's been saying. You know, she probably practiced. The fact that Trump is able to just sit there and be like, no, you see, this is what's going on. That looks really good for him, you know. But again, it does it really even matter that much regardless, seeing as how people make up their minds and they just use the debate to further, like, push their confirmation bias, you know. I don't think anyone is probably going to be like, well, I was going to vote for Trump, but now I think I want Harris. I don't think that's how it's going to work. I don't think that's what's going to happen, you know. Excuse me. You know, at the end of the day, debates are stupid. These are the only kinds of debates that are anything close to okay, in my opinion, and it's because they're so well moderated, or, you know, maybe not well moderated, but they're moderated to a level that makes them a little bit more bearable, as opposed to a lot of other debates that you see from, like, the political sphere and stuff like that, you know, which is like, oh, I'm just gonna yell my point and I'm going to ignore your point if I can ignore it. If I can't ignore it, I'll find some way to try and bypass it completely and totally. And then I'll walk around and declare myself the winner, you know?
Time has come for closing statements.
Right,
and
closing
Vice President
statements.
Harris, we begin with you.
So I think you've heard tonight two very different visions for our country. One that is focused on the future, and the other that is focused on the past, and an attempt to take us backward. But we're not going back. And I
Again,
do
this
believe
is her
that the American
strategist
people
speaking,
know
not
we
her.
all have so much more in common than what separates us. And we can chart a new way forward. And a vision of that includes having a plan, understanding the aspirations, the dreams, the hopes, the ambition of the American people, which is why I intend to create an opportunity economy, investing in small businesses, in new families, in what we can do around protecting seniors, what we can do that is about giving hardworking folks a break and bringing down the cost of living. I believe in what we can do together that is about sustaining America's standing in the world and ensuring that we have the respect that we so rightly deserve, including respecting our military and ensuring we have the most lethal fighting force in the world.
See,
I will
she's
be a
trying to
president that will
sound like a
protect our
conservative.
fundamental rights and freedoms, including the right of a woman to make decisions about her own body and not have her government tell her what to do. I'll tell you, I started my career as a prosecutor. I was a DA, I was an attorney general, a United States senator, and now vice president.
Nobody
I've only had one
cares.
client, the people. And I'll tell you, as a prosecutor, I never asked a
That's fucking
victim
dumb.
or a witness, are you a Republican or a Democrat? The only thing I ever asked them, are you okay? And that's the kind of president we need right now. Someone who cares about you and is not putting themselves first. I intend to be a president for all Americans and focus on what we can do over the next 10 and 20 years to build back up our country by investing right now in you, the American people.
Vice President Harris, thank you. President Trump?
So she just started by saying she's going to do this, she's going to do that, she's going to do all these wonderful things. Why hasn't she done it? She's been there for 3.5 years. They've had 3.5 years to fix the border. They've had 3.5 years to create jobs, and all the things we talked about. Why hasn't she done it? She should leave right
Again,
now,
you know
go
this is
down
off
to
cuff
that beautiful
from
White House, go
Trump.
to the Capitol, get everyone together and do the
You know
things
this
you
isn't
wanna
his
do, but you
strategist
haven't done
telling
it,
him
and you won't
exactly
do
what
it
to say word for
because you
word.
believe in things that the American people don't believe in. You believe in things like we're not going to frack, we're not going to take fossil fuel, we're not going to do things that are going to make this country strong, whether you like it or not. Germany tried that, and within 1 year they were back to building normal energy plants. We're not ready for it. We can't sacrifice our country for the sake of bad vision. But I just ask one simple question. Why didn't she do it? We're a failing nation. We're a nation that's in serious decline. We're being laughed at all over the world. All over the world they're laughed. I know the leaders very well. They're coming to see me. They call me. We're laughed at all over the world. They don't understand what happened to us as a nation. We're not a leader. We don't have any idea what's going on. We have wars going on in the Middle East. We have wars going on with Russia and Ukraine. We're going to end up in a third world war, and it'll be a war like no other because of nuclear weapons, the power of weaponry. I rebuilt our entire military. She gave a lot of it away to the Taliban. She gave it to Afghanistan. What these people
gotta
have
admit you
done
would
to
smash.
our country,
Oh, yeah, Kamala
and maybe
Harris.
toughest of all is allowing
Dude, I'd
millions
beat
of
them cheeks.
people to come into our country. Many of them are criminals, and they're destroying our country. The worst president, the worst vice president in the history of our country.
President Trump, thank you. And that is our ABC News presidential debate from here in Philadelphia at the National Constitution Center. I'm Lindsay Davis.
And I'm David Muir. Thank you for watching here in the U.S. and all over the world, and from all of us here at ABC News. Good night.
I don't like this guy. I feel like that's exactly
history made tonight in Philadelphia.
I feel like this guy right here, the way he talks on stage is exactly how he talks in person, and I don't like that. It's very plastic. Seems like a very plastic guy, you know. Very corporate, if you will. But yeah, so there's the debate. Honestly, I don't know who I'd give it to. If you put a gun to my head and told me to give it to somebody, I'd say I'd give it to Trump, specifically because you could tell that he was speaking off the cuff. He wasn't speaking in a way that his strategist was telling him to, or if he was doing what his strategist told him to do, it was taking what his strategist told him to do and making it into his own, making it his own thing, saying it his own way. Kamala, you can tell that they probably had fucking flashcards. I shit you not. They probably had flashcards, like she's a fucking fourth grader. Like, all right, Kamala, if Trump says anything about the border, what do you say? And fucking on that side of the flashcard facing the person who's giving the quiz, it says like, not today. You know, some sassy black woman thing. Fucking, like, you could just tell Kamala was robotic. She was not necessarily stiff, but it felt like it was a computer program speaking back to me a little bit, right? In addition to that, like, again, Trump called it out very early. She was saying a lot of things that are things that Trump was saying years ago and has been saying for years, i.e. bringing manufacturing jobs back, law and order, respecting the military, etc., etc. These are all things that Trump has been big on since his first presidency, right? It just didn't look that good for Kamala. Now, again, what I've been kind of alluding to during the commercial breaks is when it comes to debates, they don't really matter that much. Everybody's already made up their mind, okay? In fact, if you're the kind of person who, like, you need a debate to make up your mind, there's probably something wrong with you, if I'm being honest with you. There's probably something going on up in here that is not that great. Because information is so easy to get to nowadays. You don't have to rely solely or specifically on just the debate that you see between two candidates and things like that, right? You can see what's going on in real time nowadays, right? But, like, when it comes to debates, nobody's really making their mind up because of the debates. That's not how this kind of thing works. That's not how it works anymore. And you know, at the end of the day, I'm sitting here saying, like, I feel like I've said at the end of the day like 5 times, but at the end of the day, now it's 6. I'm saying I think Trump won. There's people out there who are going to say Kamala won. It's just a shit shoot, is what it is. It's just a shit shoot. It is always going to be a shit shoot from now on. You know, now that media or news, you know, is a little bit easier to obtain, and that's why I'm not big on debates. I'm literally big. This is why I'm big on fights and not debates. I made a video. I don't know how long ago. It was a while ago. It was fights are better than debates. At the end of the day, a fight is final. There is no like, oh, this guy lost, that guy. Oh no. There is no like argument about who won. Like, it's obvious who won and who lost. Even if it's a situation where it's like, you know, some guy pulled a dirty move. He pulled a dirty move and he won the fight, right? You can sit there and you can get into semantics and be like, well, they got to fight again, and this time they can't be doing dirty moves and stuff like that. But in that moment, you still have a clear winner and loser. That's just the way that it is, right? In debates, it's just specifically online debates, but you know, these debates are a little bit better, but not much better in my opinion. In online debates, it's just two people yelling at each other, refusing to concede to basic logic, or trying to form logic in a way that they can use it as a cudgel, right? It's not that there are certain things that just logically make sense, or they are rules of thumb, right? Cause and effect, for instance, right? It's not that there's those things. It's that I'm using those things in order to try and prove my point. And it's just pointless, you know? It's just a pointless slap fight. And I remember like 2015 through maybe 2018, 2019, I was big into the whole, oh, dude, skeptic community, dude. Oh, dude, Sargon of Akkad is going to debate a feminist? Oh, dude. Yo, Lauren Southern is going to debate fucking Lauren Northern about conservatism. Whoa. Like, I was big into that back then. You know, but you get bored of it after a while. You get bored of it because it's just the same thing. Because at the end of it all, it's like, okay, nobody wins, or somebody wins, but what does that mean? Fucking, did anybody come over to their side? Did the person they beat concede? Did the person they beat decide that they now are on the side of the winner? No, like that's not how that happens, you know? It's almost like, all right, congratulations, you won a debate. You won a debate. Now what? Now what are you gonna do? Yeah, you totally won a debate. Liberals are hypocrites. The Democrats are the real racists. You won the debate. You won the debate. Congratulations, you won. Now what? You think the Democrats are not Democrats anymore? You think they're not going to vote the way they want to vote? No, of course they're going to do that, because they don't give a shit, you know? Oh, fuck, excuse me. Anyway, is Oliver online? Is O. Scott online? I see people talking to Oliver right now. I don't know if he's online or if you know. Apparently he's not actually oh, fuck, that is mad. Oh, fuck, that's cool. Fuck, that's cool. Fuck. Yeah, apparently O. Scott is somewhere around here. I don't know for sure. Now what? Yeah, exactly, you know. Oh man, that's so cold, but it's exactly what I need. It's so cold it hurts. You know, I don't believe people when they're like, oh, get some ice and put it in, wrap it in a fucking wrap it in a towel. I think that's bullshit. I think in order for ice to actually work on some kind of not wound, but like some kind of issue, I think for it to actually work on some kind of issue, it's got to be so cold it fucking hurts. It's got to be so cold that when you touch it to whatever you sprained or whatever issue you have, you're like, like that's what happens, you know? Excuse me. Scott, did you see Fatty's weight loss? Yeah, dude, I'm really proud of him, you know? Excuse me. Yeah, I'm really proud of him for what he's been able to do thus far, and I can't wait to see him get, you know, thinner and thinner and thinner. That's going to be really cool to see. Yeah, I would assume he's going to be down for season 3. I don't see why they wouldn't have him on at some point. I know they're trying to do a slow burn sort of thing, but you know, I think Chris is a staple. The thing is, like, there's a lot of people and a lot of things where if they didn't show up, people would be like, "Yo, what the fuck?" They'd be like, "When's Frank show up?" You know, when's Airsoft Fatty show up? There's a lot of people that I see who they're like, "Oh, don't have him back. Don't have Airsoft Fatty back." Oh, boy. And it's like, well, I mean, watch. Like, if they didn't have Airsoft Fatty back, or if Chris was like, "Hey guys, thank you. I'm just a little bit busy for these next 6 weeks. I'm gonna be in China for these next 6 weeks. You know, doing a China tour or whatever. I don't know. People would be pretty upset that he's not back. I guarantee that 100%. You know. Man, fuck. I'm touching another spot. I'm gonna play some AOM real quick. Hold on. Let's bring this over here though, just in case. I'm having a hard time with the whole TTS thing. The TTS is... Oh, fuck. I hit the wrong one. Shit. Damn. I hit AoE out of reflex, so I'm gonna have to exit out of that. What was I gonna say though? Yeah, I'm having a hard time making the TTSs work when it's like, you know, there's certain things that, like, the TTSs, there's like certain parameters that need to be met. Like, you have to have the site up on your PC, and you have to be doing desktop audio, I've noticed, you know, which is like, you know, I hope they can get that figured out soon. Whoop. There we go. Sorry, I'm just looking around right now. What? All right. There we go. All right. We're gonna do multiplayer. I'm not trying to do tons of ranked in AOM. You know. That was something that I only did in AoE out of necessity, because I guess their quick play function was broken. I don't want to fall into the trap of giving a shit about AOM, you know. I'm trying to not give a shit about AoE either, to the point where it's like, "Oh, that guy castle dropped. All right, whatever. Fuck it. I'm out of here," you know. Even earlier today, I did a ranked match out of curiosity, and people play the same way as in AoE. You know, they play that like weird little like hit and run, not actually fucking building an army and attacking, just sending like 5 to 6 units to try and fuck with you, you know. And it's just like, dude, spend fucking 45 minutes just waiting for you to send 5 archers my way while I try to build. Get out of here, you know. Waiting for a match right now. I stand with fish reel. All right. There we go. Elysium. Come on. Oh, shit. There we go. All right. I am immediately better at AOM, and I don't think it's a coincidence either. Like I don't think it's just because AOM is easier. I do think it's that I am like a little bit better at AOM right out the gate. You know, I think it's partially that. I think it's partially that it is just. Are you fucking kidding me? Fucking A, dude. Are you kidding me? Dude, that's fucking annoying. That's the only good thing about ranked is that that's the only good thing about ranked is that when you're in a ranked lobby, you can't back out. Damn, you are good. Yes, sir. They call me the best. They call me the best ever, actually. Lexi DW says, you Eastern Bloc people are so black and white. You have animosity towards Russia because of the Soviet Union, Russian Empire, but the West is not your friend either. Thanks, Lexi. Thanks for telling the Eastern European who has to deal with Russian aggression that he should also be thinking about how evil America is too. Thanks. Fuck him. I don't even disagree here, Lexi. Like I don't think the government has good intentions with Eastern Europe. Definitely not. Of course not. Right? When have they ever had good intentions ever under any circumstances? But it's just like if there's somebody pointing a gun to my head, I'm gonna be a little bit more worried about them as opposed to the guy who's like way off in the distance talking shit behind my back. All right. It's just dumb telling an Eastern European guy like, oh, but you just don't like Russia because of the Soviet Union. It's like, yeah, that's a pretty good reason to dislike Russia. That's a pretty good reason to dislike them. Subjugation under the Soviet Union, fucking being made into a vassal state. Yeah, I'd say so. I'd say so. You know. Not a fan of games that require research or homework to succeed. If things aren't intuitive enough to learn naturally, it sort of defeats the purpose of a game. I can agree with you there. I can agree with you there, Kenny. You know, like I like RTS games. They're nice. So I did and I do want to you know, learn a little bit about them here and there. But overall, yeah, like I'm not trying to dedicate tons of time, you know. People say, oh, get good, and it's like, why? I have better things to do than hang out on a fucking video game, you know? And that's part of the reason why I get a little bit upset every now and again about, like, tactics that I consider to be weak or, like, unfair or exploitative. Is because, like, I'm just getting off work and I'm going home and I'm just trying to, like, have a little bit of fun. And then there's this fucking kid who's probably, like, 15, 16, you know, and he's trying to hit castle drops. He's scout rushing and all this other shit, you know. He's pulling some kind of not glitch, but exploit, you know, whether it's a human exploit or if it's an exploit of the way the game was created, you know. It's like that type of shit is just like fucking annoying, and it makes it unfun to play games, you know. And that's why I really think there should be a game mode in, like, for instance, AoE that disallows that sort of thing, you know. You know, just as an example, you know, tower rushing or castle dropping or something like that, you know. You know, everyone's sitting here like, oh, get good, and it's like, I have a fucking job. Nah, I'm all set. I have better things to do. Yes, right here, perfect. Oh, nope. I want them here. I need gold now. So are they eating dogs or no? What's the verdict on that shit? From what I heard, there's video of it. So, yeah. I think it's safe to say that there may have been some canines that were partaken in. Alright, there we go. I need a little bit more gold. Just a little bit more gold and I can build this thing. Yes. Hold on. What do I need though? Oh, it's only age 2 I can get that. The fuck is he? Oh. See, I'm looking for Oh wait. Oh wait, yes. Perfect. I need 2 fucking gold. Alright, we're good now. See, oh, nice. See, I need to take this thing and bring it back. Myth units are more resistant to pierce damage. Myth unit vulnerability, something, something. Alright, sick. The more of those I can find, the better. Alright, I need 400. Gonna go ahead. Go there. Ah, fuck. This guy's already at the classical age. I might be fucked. Oh, he's at the classical age, but I'm just barely ahead of him. Oh, of course. Oh, what the fuck? Damn. He's got that Minotaur. Alright, where is he? Oh, there he is. Yeah. Send him over there next. Archer harass is on its way. Yeah? Why, how do you know? Did you notice something I didn't? Oh. Alright. There we go. Oh wait, fuck. No. No, no. Alright, now we're good. There, I'll put 2 of them there. I need 500 gold. Jeez. Oh boy. Alright, so you know what? Smack those right there. Put all those down. Oh, hey. Fragile but very powerful against infantry and ships. Only good against other ranged soldiers. Counter cavalry, infantry, only good against cavalry. Alright, I'll take that. I'll take that. I'm alright with that. Oh boy, here we go. You see? Ah, man. Fuck. I need a lot more gold than I have right now. Where at? Oh. Yeah, fuck that dude up. Fucked him up real quick. Alright, we're gonna give this a shot. Dude, fuck. Finally. Yeah. I prefer ranged soldiers if I can. Age of Mythology looks like a lot like Age of Empires, dude. There's no way in hell it wasn't a clone. There's no way in hell AOM was not a clone of AOE. A clone that was meant to like improve upon it, you know? Alright, there we go. Perfect. Alright, come on. I saw a police video of a cat-related incident. Yes, I'm sure he was just petting it. I'm sure he was just petting the cat. Is all it was. Nothing else. Alright, yeah, I really need to build another, I should have did that a while ago, but you know. Oh, excuse me. Ah, fuck. Bang. Come on. Nope. Nothing there. Alright. Ah, man, yeah, he pulled ahead of me. That's not good. Oh. What's he got on him, though? Alright. I need to build a palace, duh. Yes, right here, perfect. See, I'm having a harder time keeping track of where my villagers are, or not where they are, but like, you know, how many are where. It's weird, like it's not. It's like you said, it's not really different from AOE, but like, there's something about there we go. There's something about the different UI and shit like that that's just like, oh, how do I make it work? Alright. I don't think it's a good idea, but I might just go and try and fuck with them a little bit. Actually, wait. Ah, man. Yeah, I need a lot more gold. Where's more gold? There's more gold. I don't like how forward that is, but it is what it is. Yeah, I'm gonna see what I can do. Oh, wait. Huh. Here we go. Oh, man. Yeah, this isn't good for me, that's for sure. At the very least, I can hopefully do something to a couple of his buildings before these guys are fucked. You see, that's another thing that I'm having a hard time with is the new unit compositions and shit like that. You know, it's a little bit tough. It's a little bit tough. Put those there. You guys, I need you over there. Yeah. That wasn't good for me. Well. I'm probably going to lose this one. We don't need video evidence or sources of it happening. People have been saying they are missing pets, and it happened with the Haitians came to town. Well, you see, that is circumstantial evidence if we're being fair about it, right? But I mean, the fact that, again, like, there's video evidence, like how it comes to a point where it's like, oh, like, so you're just straight up fucking lying, you know? If you deny, you know? Oh, there we go. We're gonna go siege, I suppose. What's going on here? Hopefully I can build a Titan. You know, this guy's only got one TC, which is interesting to me. Oh, there he is. Yeah, he's only got one TC, which, like I said, is sort of interesting to me, you know? I'm curious how this is going to play out. I could literally send dudes over here and nail them from behind if I so pleased, which is good. Oh, geez, dude. I don't need that many. We're almost there. We're almost there. We're almost there. Oh yeah, but this dude's 10,000 ahead of me right now. I don't think I have this. It's gonna take too long to build a Titan, you know, and that's just gonna be what it is. He's probably gonna end up fucking me up. I don't see how he wouldn't be able to. All right, so let's see. Yeah, I need more food too. See, that's the hard part for me right now too. Is like either my economy is flush, or I am waiting extra long to try and make sure that I can actually, like, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Either that or I'm waiting extra long to, like, try and get something, you know? Like, I need 800 food to get Secrets of the Titan, and then I can start building the Titan, you know? That's not very good for me, that's for sure. Okay, so he does have two TCs. He does have two TCs. I can't invoke the fucking god power there. What the fuck, dude? Oh, I suppose that's good. Come on. Just a little bit longer. Fucking, why? What's the chat doing, Spawn Connery? I don't see what's going on right now. I don't know if the chat is like, because the chat glitches out. I'm having a hard time getting the chat for YouTube, you know. It's OBS is so fucking annoying, dude. It's like I said, you know, the best shit usually comes with a learning curve, and if you're like me, you don't have the time or the energy to be like trying to learn every little piece of fucking OBS, you know? Shit's just dumb. That's why I use Streamlabs. If I could use Streamlabs with the fish tank site, I definitely would. But that's, you know, that's not something that is that's not something we're able to do right now. If it ever happens, definitely will. But oh, wait a second. Is it? It's not giving me the option to build Titan. Oh, there it is. There it is. It takes so long to build the Titans. Alright. We're just waiting. Just sitting here waiting. Oh shit. That's a lot closer than I anticipated. Hopefully he leaves me alone for as long as it takes to make a Titan. Because if I can make a Titan, I might not be that fucked. Might not be. I probably still will be if we're being honest here, but you know, it is what it is. Yeah, we're a little bit over a fourth of the way there, which is nice. Oh, fuck. Come on. What are these idiots doing? Oh, that's gold. I'm like, I'm not gonna lie, I'm kind of gritting my teeth here a little bit because I'm like, fuck, is that thing gonna build? Is it gonna build in time? Are we gonna be able to build it in time? In fact, honestly, I'm gonna build that and then go there. Get a couple of fire siphons, upgrade those. Oh, dude, this guy is absolutely gonna wreck me. It's gonna be terrible. He's just booming in a way that I can't right now because I'm not like, I'm still awkward, you know. I'm still not amazing at AOE either, but like I am a lot better. And I can feel how awkward I feel while playing this. What happened? What happened? You guys heard that, right? Alright, yeah. We got the Titan. Oh, yeah. We're going to go right for their forwardmost TC. Go, attack. Oh, man. Gold Colossus. Oh, fuck. Shit. Fuck. Dude, why can I not invoke the god power? Do I not? Oh, I can. Oh, fuck. You know what? Wow, that was stupid of me. That was dumb. Which, I could have swore there was another one. Oh, well, you know what? Yeah, that's mine now. Eat shit. You see that thing twisting? Alright, I need... Fucking A, dude. Get your asses over there, huh? Toss 500 units into the air. Again, I just love how these guys in particular blast off. Damn, they really are. Wow, they really are fucking my guy up here. All right, well that's good then. Yeah, this is just, it ain't working out. I ain't gonna take this, unfortunately. See if I can, oh, man. Yeah. Ah, well. What you gonna do? You see, they're coming out now. They're like, oh, good, we got him. Damn. Ah, well. Fuck it. Let's see what we can do here. Yeah, it ain't gonna work out. I know it ain't gonna work out. Ah, well. He's got too many of those Colossus guys. Those Colossi. All right. All right, guys. All right, boys. Let's get them. Fuck it. Yeah. Yeah, it just ain't happening. That sucks. I went 2 for 2 yesterday. Today I went 0 for 2. That's annoying. Oh well. Anyway. Oh, there it is. So, all right. That was fun. Thank you guys. I had no idea there was going to be a presidential debate tonight. If I had known, I would have given a little bit more notice. But yeah, I didn't. I only figured out today. So I'd say that was nice. That was fun. I had a good time, and I hope you guys did too. I'm probably going to be streaming tomorrow. Tomorrow would be the usual day that I stream during the week. I'll probably stream tomorrow, if not, definitely Friday night. That's, the Friday Fish Tank exclusive stream. For those of you that don't know, Fish Tank, I stream on Fridays. Just Fish Tank. No YouTube, no Twitch, no nothing. All right? So if you want to see my Friday stream at 9 p.m. EST, you're going to see it on the Fish Tank site. That's the way it goes. That's the way it goes. But yeah, so I'm going to head out. I will catch you guys later. And as usual, thank you all so much for being here. Peace. Hold on real quick. Hold on, sorry. I literally just got a text now. Kamal here. I just got off the debate stage, and I'm asking you to add a $40 donation to support our campaign. Chip in to help our team win. And then it's Act Blue. Stop to quit. Fucking stop, you fucking assholes. Yeah, you replied stop. You replied with the word stop, which means which blocks all text from sending. Which blocks all texts sent from this number. Sweet. Fuck off. Fuck you, Kamala. We outie.